better communist, and I genuinely appreciate that. Rob, 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 rob.
2. Hello. Check 2, 2, 2. Check. Hello, everyone. Hello, Husker. What's up? Metal dipshit. It's a good. This is honestly, this is one of my favorite shirts. This is one of my favorite shirts. Highly recommend picking one of these up. Wait till the sale. There was just a sale on TeePublic. There's sales all the time. Wait for the sale. I'll let you know what it is. But pick up one of these shirts. It's an excellent shirt. The man, the legend, the subversive anti-imperialist. Thank you, Comrade Social Distancing. Hello, everyone else. I wonder if Zoomers will ever comprehend that old TVs had real depth. You throw at your back just contemplating lifting ones. Honestly, I like the new TVs. At my house, I have a LG OLED. It's wonderful. It's paper thin. Very nice. You know what, though? This is maybe going to be like an old man thing. Maybe it is. Not quite as old man as what Dave is doing there in the chat. But the smart TVs. Enough with the smart TVs, folks. I don't need my TV to be smart. Give me a dumb TV. Give me like a $500 65-inch dumb as hell TV with a couple of HDMI slots. I don't need all the programming. I don't need updates. I don't need all the apps. I don't need that shit. I don't need an internet browser. I don't need any of that bullshit. And you get one of those new Chromecasts. Those new Chromecasts, you can take a dumb TV and it instantly becomes a smart TV. You don't need any of that shit. How would that TV listen on you to build a market profile to sell to advertisers? That's the big... Well, they've got other ways to do that, right, Husker? I have my Google Home. I have my fucking phone in my pocket that's always listening to me. Just use that shit. Leave my TV alone. I want a stupid TV. Okay, you can listen to me in other ways. I'm literally on here every day on social media broadcasting my every thought to the whole world. Okay? You don't need to listen to me on my TV or my microwave or my fridge. You've got like 65 other ways of listening to me constantly. Give me a dumb TV. Can I still have all the terrible motion smoothing effects? I mean, if you want. That's not for me personally, but if you want, yes. I wore my Momo shirt to my new strength building class. That's really cool, Sinchal. Happy to hear that. I know you're already super strong as well, so that must not even mean... I don't even know how that's necessary, but you're really going to be killing it after you do that class. 10,000 sandwiches. Thank you so much. Got 23 months. This week, don't let me put this off. This week, I got to make the exclusive 2-year badge. Okay? We got a bunch of people at 23 months here, so for November, I'm going to have the exclusive 2-year badge. I'll make it something cool. Okay?
You can count on me. You're going to have good old
And look
Rob
at that. There's King
talk
Yuenda
you
right
through all
there.
this.
Rob, sois prudent. Les goose enterprise l'anglais et comment say connector a Twitch.
Thank you, King Yuendo, for the 2 years of Tier 1 and for all the support, King Yuendo. And I don't care. These can listen to me. See if I care. See if I care. I want them to hear me. I want them to know that I'm saying these things. I don't give a shit. Pelosi themed badges. That's what I was thinking. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. How many months am I? You're at 21 months, Goth Engel Sinner. 21 months. I'll get those 2-year badges done this week right away. Okay? This is my promise to you. And yeah, I know sometimes I promise on things that I don't deliver on. Sure, that's true. Sometimes I say I'm going to do things and I do not do them. I know that's true.
You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
This is not one of those
good,
times,
Rob?
though. This is not one of those times. I will do this. Thank you, Starlight. I really appreciate that. 16 months of Tier 1 from Starlight Dazzle. Thank you, Tier 1. Thank you for the 16 months of Tier 1, Starlight Dazzle. I really appreciate that. And I appreciate you, Starlight. Thank you. Bold of Rob to suggest I would ever have a wrong idea. Well, obviously, this doesn't apply to the regulars. We all know Red Scary has the correct ideas. Outrun, Starlight, and the other regulars of this channel. You know who you are. You've got the correct ideas already. This is for outsiders, okay? This is bringing in, my ideas are awful. Well, some of you don't, I guess. Marina has never been wrong. This is true. Many are saying this. My ideas are good and flawless. That's right, Husker. This is kind of what I mean, though. This is for the outside. This is for the non-viewer, the non-subs. This is for the people in the algorithm that are looking around. Maybe there's some of them with us right now. A few lurkers who just looked at the clip and said, "Who's this handsome man?" The others. Ugh. The lurkers, the non-subs. Maybe there's some of them with us right now. They clicked on the image. This is for them. They're looking around for Twitch streams to look at. They're like, I want to have the correct ideas. What's that? What is that? What's up with that? I want to have the correct ideas too, and they click, and now here they are. And we're here to help them. We're here to help them. Are the lurkers in the room with us right now? Yes, I think so. Press 1 if you're a lurker. You don't even need to ever comment again. Maxi, come on. Don't abuse the press 1 system. Don't abuse the press 1 system. We're trying to do something here. There are multiple unsanctioned TRRS meetups happening. I've lost all control. I've lost all control. I'm like Edward Norton in Fight Club, just wandering around, seeing all the remnants of all the old meetings, just being like, what is this? And you go to the bar and they're like, your money's no good here, sir. And I'm just like, I've never been here before. Who are you? What is this? Hey, Lana, thanks for joining us. Okay, so we didn't hear from any lurkers. Okay, still a little shy. No problem. Himbo Rob. Okay. People are abusing the system now. I'm about to take a week-long vacation and follow the dollop on tour. Oh, that's cool. That's great. Give Dave Anthony my regards. Come out, lurkers. Show yourself. We don't need to threaten the lurkers with knives. This is supposed to be an inviting space. Chin chin, everyone. Oh boy, it's really almost haircut time for me. It's really almost haircut time for this guy. It's getting pretty out of control here. Pretty outrageous. Maybe if I got my haircut, I would get more lurkers. Because people, right now, the lurkers see the image of me on the stream and they're like, I can't trust this guy. This guy doesn't have the correct ideas. Look at this man. Look at this man. I need a haircut too, but it's the one thing I'm still afraid of doing because COVID, that and going to live wrestling. I've gotten a cut a few times since COVID. You should get a high fade, keep it shaggy on top, and continue wearing very short shorts into winter. That'd be something. That'd be really something. Yeah, Lana, I've got my hair cut a couple times, and I am actually going to a show this Friday, which I feel a little weird about. But I am going to a show on Friday. I am seeing Mark Rabier. I've watched Mark Rabier, the Loop Daddy, as he calls himself, and others call him this as well. I've watched his stuff on the stream before a couple times. He's on tour right now, and I am going to see Mark Rabier. I'm bringing my stepson to see Mark Rabier, which should be kind of fun. it was his birthday a couple weeks ago, and I was like, it was one of those things that's like, hey, I got us tickets to see this guy, and he's kind of like, oh, cool. You know, I think he might feel a little ambivalent about it, but I feel very confident that he's going to enjoy it. So I wouldn't have done it otherwise. I wouldn't have gotten these tickets. I think that even if he might be a little lukewarm, on the whole thing, but I think he's going to enjoy it. I feel very confident that he's going to enjoy it. And I feel a bit weird about it. I haven't gone to a concert or done anything like that in like a big group. That's not true. I did go to a CEBL game this summer. I did do that. So that was the one time I went to a big event. I haven't gone to a concert in a long time though. I don't really know how to feel about it, but it's like, I don't know. I wanted to do it. I missed a Minoru Suzuki appearance and I'm still mad about it. Did he wrestle in Montreal, Lana? I'm kind of mad about that as well. I would have loved to see Mean murder Grandpa. Oh, man. That is kind of depressing. I would have loved to have Suzuki like yell at me and tell me to shut up and tell me that he hopes that I get hit by a car.
Use the computer to mark up the size of the account.
With regard to the...
Oh, thanks for this. Thanks for this, Dimitri. I wanted to beat me with a guardrail. Me too. I would love that. Thanks for this, Dimitri. I have more... I mean... I've been talking about Ukraine and Russia stuff so much lately, but I've got more NAFO stuff to look at. These NAFO motherfuckers really annoyed me last weekend. So now I want to continue exploring NAFO and talking about some of that. I have a lot of that to look at, but I would like this week to do a dedicated stream to talk about Haiti, the history, and what is currently going on in Haiti as well. I would like to find someone from Haiti, or at least some familiarity with it, that could come talk to me. But I would definitely like to do a stream this week to focus specifically on Haiti, you know, the history of colonialism in Haiti. Haiti plays such a big role, right? And we're constantly, we've talked about it many times, constantly overthrowing, the government of Haiti. Every time the people of Haiti start to step out of line and start demanding a slightly higher minimum wage, we step in there, going all the way back to the first successful slave revolt. They're still being punished for that these days. Yeah, the Clintons' interest in Haiti for sure. Yeah, Q knows a lot about Haiti. I could maybe reach out to him. Yeah. So that's something that I would like to focus on this week, just maybe not today. I'm not really prepared to get into it today. Except to say that I will just say that, like, it's very interesting. And, we talked about Iran and had the nonstop media coverage and social media viral tweets about Iran. And just the ways that we have this nonstop laser focus on Iran while similar protests have been happening in Haiti for 2 years. Complete radio silence. Complete radio silence in the media. No viral tweets. No, we must listen to the people of Haiti. None of that bullshit. No, like, oh, there's a beautiful uprising that's close to overthrowing the government. Weirdly, no, we don't hear much about that. And I always find it very interesting, like which protest movements we latch onto in the West and which protest movement we have to support. And we got to change our profile pictures and we got to retweet whatever. And we have to do the hashtags and which ones completely get totally ignored. Yeah, but their fake president, their fake president that we installed after we couped the last president, who was our guy until he stepped out of line. He asked us to come, okay? Because of the gangs, folks. It's not like I support, the United States government or the Canadian government going into Haiti, but these gangs, we got to do something about that. Who's going to do something? Who's going to do something about that? Their unelected fake president that we put there after killing the other guy. He really needs us. I too am anti-war, but yeah. Of course I don't support regime change or military intervention, but we've got to nuke the gangs. Nothing we can do. We got to nuke those gangs. You know, we have to support this. Luckily, since gang violence isn't a problem in the USA, we can just help other countries with their gang-related problems. Exactly. America has shown such a great shining beacon of an example of how to stop gang violence, that they've really got a ton of credibility. They've got a lot of credibility to go in there in Haiti, bring in the military occupy Haiti. I really wish that someone in the US government would embrace the concept of doing nothing. Imagine if after 9/11 we did nothing. It's true. Not enough people are calling. There's not enough calls for us to just do nothing, whether it's the US or Canada. We can just do nothing. That's what we always hear, right? Someone's got to do something. We've got to do something. I know I don't support Western intervention, but look at Syria. We got to do something. Look at Libya. We have to do something. Look at Haiti. We have to do something. Look at Iran. Look at Afghanistan. We have to do something. No, you do not. You do not, in fact, have to do anything whatsoever. And in fact, it actually helps everybody to do nothing at all. Who is we and what is something? That doesn't matter. These questions don't matter. We've got to do something. Wild that we have to be okay with a literal invasion because their fake puppet comprador president said it's fine. When we talk about public support in the Donbass for Russian intervention, all of a sudden people say that's fake and should be disregarded. Or the Crimea. Weird how the Crimea was taken just without a big military challenge, right? Without this big military operation. And it seems like people in the Crimea haven't been good. It's been going on, it's been on 8 years since Russia annexed Crimea. There's been no big uprisings of Crimeans demanding their independence or anything. But that's still fake, though. Don't worry, that's still fake. We got to give that back to Ukraine as soon as possible. I saw a viral tweet about it from the official Crimea account, said it wants to come back home to Ukraine. So that's a good example of what the people want there. Also, who is asking for our help? Do we actually have public support in those places, or is it all cynical? Almost like we don't actually give a fuck what most people actually want in these places. Well, that's the thing. When a dozen Cubans get together and say SOS Cuba and are like, President Biden, please, my people yearn for freedom, we have to listen to them. We really have to listen to them. Or people in China, someone in China hangs a fucking banner over an overpass. Or, if there's this group of Uyghur expats that are like, we demand to be East Turkestan. We have to listen to them. We must listen to them. But when people, for instance, in Xinjiang, that live there, that are even people that are Uyghur, that are like, actually, no, thank you. No, thank you, America. We're actually good. We're just like, you're a programmed, brainwashed Chinese operative. Even if it's like the majority of people. They're like, we need to listen to these dozens of weird reactionaries. Thank you. Yeah, we have to listen to one middle-class conservative guy who lives in the diaspora over the vast majority of people in those places who don't want us involved. No, those are all programmed bots, you see. They're brainwashed. They yearn for freedom. They're just not allowed to say so. But we know what they really want. Their feeble foreign minds just aren't able to have the independence. They've been brainwashed by this powerful government, and we owe it to them to step in. When a dozen or so patriots decide to Juan Guaido as president, we must take that seriously. Even though the guy can't fucking walk down the street without getting assaulted. The people doing the assaulting are obviously paid Chavistas. Once you understand the pattern of imperialist lies, propaganda, and intervention, you see it everywhere. It's the same playbook every single time, just switches depending on whether or not the government du jour is working for or against the ruling class capital interests. You know, one interesting thing as well is the shifting tides on Saudi Arabia as well. Now that Saudi Arabia is starting to like go against U.S. interests, and they're literally just like, no, we're going to raise gas prices to fuck with the Democratic Party because we don't like them. Now all of a sudden there's this talk of like human rights in Saudi Arabia. And this is not me defending Saudi Arabia, a horrible regime, brutal government. But it is very interesting how the same people that have been shipping arms nonstop to Saudi Arabia, allowing them to commit this fucking genocidal war in Yemen, giving them complete diplomatic cover to do this, even when they threatened to do 9/11 to us. The same people are all of a sudden like, no, we're very concerned about Saudi Arabia. It's really interesting how these things shift, really depending on whether these states stay in line with the Western viewpoint on anything. To understand the conflict in Crimea, first we need to step back and sort through my trauma. In this thread, I'll explain why Crimea's population view Putin as someone distant, with the giving gifts love language, and as someone unable to be vulnerable. Jesus Christ. Saudi is looking ripe for humanitarian intervention. It do be like that. It do be like that. Stream, I have important news. This just in from BBC and CNN. Juan Guaido, Buttigieg, and Volodymyr Zelensky have declared themselves the new ruling triumvirate of Haiti, and we have to support that. Did you see Ken's post about MBS saying they're a nation formed by jihad and martyrdom? They're so done with our bullshit. And yeah, and this again, I'm not gonna defend fucking Saudi Arabia of all people, but this is really, when it comes to America, I'm kind of just like, this is a let them fight scenario for me. I want nothing to do with it, but I encourage all the mutual disrespect and the mutual anger and the mutual the political games that are going on. I'm staying out of it. I'm staying the fuck out of it. This happens though there's a fracture with the two parties. Saudis support Republicans and UAE are the oil friends of the Democrats. Yeah, that makes sense. You should personally go after the Saudis. Well, I agree. I agree with that. Even if they threaten to do 9/11 to Canada again, should do it anyways. What will America do when they have no one credible they can install? Because even the most reactionary elements in those countries understand that tying interest to the U.S. is a bad deal. This is the interesting thing about the shifting polarity, right? This multipolarity that we talk about often. Like, even countries that we don't like or that we don't support recognize which way the wind is blowing. You know, they know that the U.S. is a dying empire. They know that that ship has sailed. Like, they know what the future is looking like. These places, these people that run these countries, they might be evil in some cases, but they're not stupid. That's really interesting, isn't it? Even these former big, India as well, as India is another big example. Horrible government. Horrible, fascist Hindutva government. Islamophobic, horrible government. They recognize which way the wind is blowing, though. America's like, India, we need your support on this Ukraine thing. And they're just like, no, thank you. That's going to be a no from us, dog. Very interesting developments, you know? Very interesting developments. This is really new, right? This is a new phenomenon in our lifetimes. Even outright fascist regimes are looking at the U.S. like, This is a good point, Omegon the Sane. It isn't that America's lying about, and sometimes it is. Sometimes it is about America's lying about human rights. But it isn't that America is lying about human rights abuses by its enemies. It's that America does not give fuck one about human rights abuses except as a weapon against their enemies. I think that's a good way of putting it. You know, it's not like these human rights problems don't exist. In these official enemy states, sometimes they're exaggerated and sometimes, you know, sometimes it's based in reality. But the idea that America actually cares about human rights in China or Iran or anywhere is fucking preposterous. I spent like an hour on Saturday trying to, like, not even arguing with a guy, but genuinely trying politely to change someone's mind about Ukraine stuff. I was arguing with someone that had a fucking Ukraine, Palestine, and Ireland flag in their bio. I was really trying to be polite, and I was really trying to make them see that they were incorrect about this. We can actually look at this after this conversation because it's illuminating. I was literally like, you have a Palestinian flag in your bio, and Israel unequivocally supports Ukraine. Do you not see anything wrong with that? Like, do you kind of see what's happening here? And they were just like, no, this is usually NATO is bad and usually Western imperialism is bad, but this is the one time that they're right. And it's this black and white scenario. And I'm like, is it the one time that they're right? Or is it more nuanced than you're letting on? And have you been kind of swept up in this kind of black and white thinking that is not actually reflective of reality? I really tried with this person. And overall, they were like, no, I'm not changing my opinion. We talked about Luke Skywalker. That was another thing I wanted to look at. That Zelensky picture. Did you see the picture of him with like the join the dark side Star Wars themed Ukrainian shirt where there's like it's so spelling it out. It's literally a Star Wars themed shirt of like a Ukrainian soldier stamping on a Soviet cosmonaut. And Zelensky's own grandfather fought correctly with the Soviets against fascism. And this fucking cowardly motherfucker is pissing all over his own grandfather's memory. How fucking sad. How sad is that? Let's just look at some of this shit. And now that I'm talking about it, we might as well look at some of the stuff that I'm mentioning, right? We're still on this. We're still on this goddamn... It just, the frustrating thing about the Ukraine thing is it's becoming so clear. I feel like it should be so clear what is happening. And still people don't get it. People just don't get it. So he's doing his like green screen video. While he's doing this green screen video, he's wearing this shirt that says, "Come to the dark side." And it's like an image of a Ukrainian stormtrooper stomping on a Soviet astronaut, a cosmonaut, and then it says, "Dominate or die." Are people still really confused about what's going on here? That's the shirt. Even fucking like Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill is so fucking confused. Everyone is so confused about this. Let me fucking... find the tweet I was talking about. Yeah, this is a tweet from our friends at Midwestern Marks. My problematic faves. Midwestern Marks. Luke Skywalker actor Mark Hamill recently said the war in Ukraine is the first invasion of a sovereign country by a hostile foreign power in his lifetime. Perhaps forgetting the Star Wars is based on the war in Vietnam. You have like Mark Hamill being like, I'm supporting because now I'm supporting the resistance against the Russian Empire. And it's like, Mark, you don't understand your own fucking movie, sir. You don't understand your own movie, Mark. Now to take a big sip of blue milk and learn who the fucking Empire was supposed to represent in the original Star Wars movie. It's so bizarre. Mark, Zelensky is spelling it out for you, sir. They did the same thing with the Iraq War, and domestic police and the Imperial Corps have done it too with the Punisher skull shit. Whenever it's revealed that we're the bad guys, they just shift into, yeah, we're the bad guys because we aren't pussies and have to fight the other bad guys. Sheepdogs and wolves, bullshit. It's the Chud classic, but lives love to join too if they're convinced the enemy is undemocratic. That's what I mean. We've looked at the clip of George Lucas talking about this when he's very specifically says, oh yeah, the rebellion in Star Wars, that was about the Viet Cong. With this, like, the whole idea of the Empire is supposed to be a very unambiguous look at how, like, we're the bad guys. That's us. That's Western imperialism. That's the fucking Empire. All these guys are like British. All these like weird like bureaucrats and they're all British. They have all these colonies everywhere. You know, it's not supposed to be that confusing about who the bad guy is in this scenario. Mark apparently doesn't fucking get it. I want to look at this. I'll show you this conversation that I had too. I eventually had to mute the person, so maybe we can find this, but this conversation that I was talking about.
You've just become an elite member of the Friendship Triangle.
Oh, goodness gracious. Be Cool Theo. Be Cool Theo. Thank you for the 5 gifted subs. Hell yeah. That's very kind of you. That's your name is Be Cool Theo, and I think you're very cool.
Good old Rob to talk you through all this.
And thank you, Comrade Social Distancing, for the 2 gifted subs as well. Very kind of you. I really appreciate that. It is poggers. Very poggers. Anyway, so this conversation I was mentioning, like, I really tried, folks. I really tried, because, like, I don't argue with people. I don't call people dipshits. I really try to be, like, nice online, even when people are bugging me. Right? So I really tried to change hearts and minds here. Okay? I really did. So you have VJ saying, like, maybe we should not block the Democratic Socialist America International Committee, which I retweeted. This guy, this is this person that I was talking to. A.H. Jensetta. With the Ukraine flag, the Ireland flag, the Yemen flag. Oh, sorry, the Côte d'Ivoire, okay. The Yemen flag and the Palestinian flag. Here's how this conversation went. I really tried, folks. He says, I mean, it's pretty simple. Did they spread BS about the war? Propaganda is a weapon, one used by any side in a war, but uncritically speaking, Russian BS, the invaders, the ones causing the war, etc., small detail for y'all I know, is night and day different from supporting Ukraine. So I said, specifically what BS are you talking about? They say DSA IC should not be banned. That seems silly. Was just dunking. However, they basically were, along with most of Western left, completely useless in the opening of Russia's invasion, spreading Kremlin talking points, specifically Russia felt threatened, etc. So yeah, BS. And he tries to slow things down, calm things down. He says, you're a prominent leftist account, not trying to start stuff, just in major disagreement and honestly disappointment with DSA during most of this invasion. I said, I appreciate that, but I think you should take a look at what the majority of the non-Western world has been saying about this. I don't think continuing to view the conflict in these black and white terms is really accurate or helpful. They say, hey, fair. Global South perspective re-Ukraine has been mixed. I would chalk that up to understandable skepticism of EU-US crew actually managing for once to do something sort of good. Like, if there's one thing we know how to do, it's provide arms. Ukraine needs arms. It is kind of black and white. But, yeah, it's 10 layers of shit, and any sensible internationalist should know that. But the version of events pitched by DSA IC was wildly not in keeping with basics. Invaders are bad, defenders are good. Which is hard to square, I know. History has few such examples. So again, I'm trying here, folks. I'm trying. Is this a rare example of this dynamic being true? Or is it actually much more nuanced than you're letting on? The conflict didn't just begin in February. Paying attention to that context isn't Russian propaganda. And I said, also, you have a Palestinian flag in your bio, and this is what Israel is saying about this. The time has come for Israel to support Ukraine. Coming from the Kiev Independent. Look at this. It says, yeah, I know. As I'm trying to state, Ukraine is a strange amalgamation of things where, honestly, the more jerk-off, horrible monsters with lots of bombs, guns, send such things their way, the better. Fuck Israel. Resistance to that imperial trash is crucial, but hey, they got good guns. And it says, re-flags. I kept getting shit on for just the Ukraine flag and thought the least I could follow the true internationalism supporting all anti-imperialist shit, including those not directly caused by the US, etc., and Ireland, because fuck the Brits. Who does Britain unequivocally support in this conflict, though? That's my question. And Ireland, because fuck the Brits. Britain famously, supporting Russia in this case as well. I said your heart is in the right place, but supporting NATO isn't anti-imperialism. And sorry, I lost the thread. I'm trying to pick it back up. I said, sure would point to Russia's aggression since at least 2014 in Ukraine. As with most events, it's a contextual mix of long violence of creating the situation. In that game, I just blame Russia, Putin more than West NATO, who honestly seem tuned out and disinterested for 90% of the time. I'm really trying, folks. I'm trying to change hearts and minds on here. I said, look, I'm not going to continue to get in this back and forth with you over it. I appreciate the respectful tone. My view remains that the West helped provoke this conflict. You can't just hand wave this stuff away by saying Russian aggression. And I linked this piece about far-right extremists in Ukraine brag they have received training from the Canadian forces. As I've pointed out a couple times, if you're Russia, perhaps, I know this is hard for people to wrap their minds around, but perhaps when there's evidence of Canada and the US arming and training these far-right extremists who have been engaging in this conflict, maybe, I know it's really hard for people to do this, but maybe they might view that as being some kind of a provocation, right? That's my basic point. It doesn't mean that it's okay. It doesn't mean that any violence that they're doing is okay. It doesn't mean that killing civilians is okay on their part. Not saying that. The point is, though, this isn't this black and white situation where there's one good guy and one bad guy and one innocent victim and one aggressor. and that the West, Canada, the US, and NATO countries played a significant role in poking and prodding the Russians and provoking this conflict. Some would say deliberately. And I would say deliberately. I don't know who this guy is. Actually, you can. All of you anti-imperialists are using the same bullshit excuses to defend Putin that liberal imperialists use to defend American imperialism. Just bullshit excuses. We're arming and training Nazis, but it's just bullshit excuses. It's literally a article in noted anti-imperialist conspiracy rag, the fucking Ottawa Citizen, about how we've been arming Nazis. Oh, that's just bullshit excuses. Okay. And then I don't know, someone else responded there with probably something mean about me. They blocked me. And then this guy, after all that effort, folks, this is what I end up with. I hope this is interesting content. I don't know if it is. I really thought maybe I can get through to someone.
We simply use the computer to mark up
just by being
size of the
polite
account.
and nice.
All the social chauvinists are now Marxists. Don't laugh. Lenin, TRRS Lenin.
Thank you, Dimitri. This is not beef hour. Again, I don't beef anymore. I was literally trying to politely change someone's hearts and mind, or at least get them to see like the other perspective of this. I don't know what this person said. Maybe someone can look at it because they blocked me. And they say, indeed, chalk my politeness up to not wanting a bunch of rando online lefty people attacking me for 48 hours. Though to Rob's credit, he was good-natured and laid his case out. So, despite his being wrong, I was overall inclined to maintain good tone and civility. But this, I don't know what this person said. I have no idea. I can open it in an incognito window and read it. They said, look, okay, this is what they said. Look, I'm not going to get into back and forth with you over how Jews and Poles provoked Hitler, because that's how you sound. No one attacked Russia, not in 80 years. No one would have. You actually think Ukraine would have. Existing is not an excuse for attack. Okay. So, I don't know. I don't know if this is interesting content for you folks. I wanted to just like show how I made a little bit of an effort. My son was doing soccer at the Y, and I was sitting in the lobby of the Y. Normally I don't get involved in back and forths like this. But I was just sitting in the lobby of the Y, and I was like, I'm going to try and change this person's hearts and mind here. Heart and mind.
23 long months I have waited for new Rob, but old Rob doing discourse is good too.
G Cluppy, thank you very much for the 23 months of tier 1. I really appreciate it, G Cluppy, and I'm happy to see you in the chat again today. No new Rob though. That's not a thing. There will be no new Rob.
We simply use the computer to mark up the size of the account.
That's not going to be happening anytime soon, so
you don't understand, Mr. Rob. If we don't fight the Russians in Ukraine, we will have to fight them inside our country.
Thank you, Useless, for the 500 friend coin. I appreciate that. Thank you, Useless. This is what I mean, though. New Rob is back off the menu. That's correct. It's completely off. It will not be happening. But I really tried. Like I said, I was in the lobby of the Y waiting for my son to finish his soccer thing. And I was like, maybe I can use my powers of persuasion and politeness and civility to make someone understand my perspective on this. And this is how it ended up. Zero impact. This isn't stupidity. This shit is willful. This is what I mean. It's like, and I still pointed out, like, you have a Palestinian flag in your bio, and you're saying fuck the Brits, but yet you're supporting Israel and the Brits at the same time. These are mutually exclusive. Do you don't see that? And they don't. They don't see it. And yeah, just the whole thing of like, no one was ever attacked, and just like completely ignoring. I posted the link to a news website, a reputable news website, about how the Canadian government has been arming fascists and extremists in eastern Ukraine. who have been attacking fucking ethnic Russians. And it's just like, no impact. No impact whatsoever. They'll just call you a campist. Yeah. Yeah. I remember there was a funny Discord comment about that one time. I can't remember the exact. I don't remember the exact term. If there was like a word for campism, I think was the Discord comment. Hey, Mr. Fancy Pants, hello. If your opinions are based on rejecting the facts, how can facts change your opinion? Well, that's and again, like, this is what I'm wondering. But my only point, whenever we bring this up, and people get all confused and say, I support civilian deaths, and I support Kiev being bombed, and I support the invasion. I'm literally just saying, we played a role in provoking this. That is all. That is all that I'm saying about this. We played a role in provoking this. And that's just so fucking out of bounds that it's just completely unacceptable, this viewpoint now. Anything beyond, this is a black and white battle between good and evil, and we must support. Look, I don't support NATO and Western imperialism, but they got it right this one time, so we got to support them.
This is some guy, Rob Russo, some leftist based in Canada. I was turned on to this sick individual, and I found this.
Hey, thanks, Zach, for the raid. Thank you, Zach. Well, welcome in, Raiders. Get in here. Get in here. Thank you. Thank you, Zach. I appreciate that. Everyone give Zach a follow, please. Very good and based Twitch streamer. Zach app. Thank you, Zach. And give me a follow as well if you're new to the stream.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Hi Rob. Hi chat.
Thank you, Dakadoon, for the 17 months of tier 1 and all the support. Thank you so much, Dakadoon. It's so tiresome to have to give a 250-word Putin bad preamble before you merely describe the series of events that led to Russia invading Ukraine, only to be shouted down as a Putler lover. And as you know, folks, as you know, in the lead up to this invasion, I very clearly displayed a Putin bad disclaimer on this stream. As you all know, has that prevented me from being called a Putin lover and a Putin sympathizer? No, it has not. It's incredibly frustrating to be told you're just agreeing with whatever Putin says in response to criticizing someone for agreeing with whatever NATO says and saying you don't like Putin either. And again, like, this is not the Ottawa Citizen. David Pugliese in the Ottawa Citizen is not the fucking gray zone. This is not an anti-imperialist left-wing conspiracy rag. Critique Ukraine in any way and you're a Putin simp. And even just talk about this conflict in non-black and white, good versus evil, like childish terms. And that makes you a Putin sympathizer or whatever. Use a larger font next time you type Putin bad. I really should have done that. I got over COVID, now I'm sick again. Yeah, Dakadoon. It's like I've been okay, but my whole family's been sick though.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old
as
Rob
well
to talk you through all this.
I feel like someone in my family has been sick since like probably June. I'm 3 follows from 3,600. Please, 3 people. Please. 3 people follow Zach. I know you can do this. Just click the little button. I got 127 viewers right now. 3 of you can click the little button on Zach. I'm sure of it. And bang, bang, boom. Thank you for the 11 months of tier 1. Almost 1 entire year. I really appreciate that. Thank you. I think most of the world sympathizes with Putin's position at this point in time. Well, it depends on what your view of most of the world is. If you say the entire world stands with Ukraine, you're showing your entire fucking ass, because what you're talking about is the West. You're talking about the predominantly white, formerly colonialist countries. If that's your view of the entire world, then yes, you're right. Most of the world does stand with Ukraine. When you look at the vast majority of people that do not live in those countries, though, you'll find it's a lot more complicated than that. The international community, the rules-based international order that we'd love to hear about, Sam, and we love to lecture everyone about these fucking rules, don't we? That's part of why I'm so bummed out, man. A lot of these leftists would whitewash a pogrom if it meant defending Western values. This whole thing has really shown how easy it is to manipulate people. Like the whatever like online left, whatever that is, even if that is even a thing, it's just been entirely split over this now, right? And now it's somehow controversial to be like, I don't support NATO. That's now a controversial stance. Remember, like the other weekend, I don't know if you saw that tweet I did, Lana, when I was like, in the past, when we've supported this kind of terrorism, when I was talking about the Crimean Bridge, that's kind of come back to haunt us. Totally non-controversial historical analogy, referencing specifically our support for the Mujahideen in Afghanistan in the 80s. And I had people being like, this man must be ostracized from the left. He must be ostracized from the left. I'm like, what? What? I'm still mad about the bridge. That's right. That's right, James. I am. Remember that one guy, Blippo Blappo or whatever his name was, that like Rob's like pissing his pants in anger over this bridge. And I'm like, he kept on talking about pants pissing, like he has some weird fetish towards it or something.
Count on me. You're gonna have good old Rob to talk you through all.
And I was like, I'm really not. I'm really not doing that at all. Don Dark Zoni, thank you for the gifted sub. Thank you, Don Dark Zoni. Rob, sir, nuance is not appreciated.
You're gonna have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
In geopolitical conflicts, it's either good guy versus good guy good or bad guy bad. We can't get ourselves an endless Iraq war with this nuance. You keep spinning. Well, again, and these people that say to me like, "Oh, of course I don't support Western imperialism, but this one time we have to do it." I would love to know what these same people were saying. I don't know if they're like 12 years old or whatever. But as much as these people think they have some kind of like interesting or different position, they would have been saying the same thing about Libya. I'm sure they say the same thing about Syria. We got to support Western imperialism this one time. This one time they got it right because Assad bad, Putin bad, so we have to support NATO. Gaddafi bad. Listen, I don't support Western imperialism, but Gaddafi though, something has to be done. Rob, the Taliban. Of course I don't support Western imperialism, but the Taliban though. But Rob, Saddam, you're saying you support Saddam? This is a black and white conflict. Saddam is gassing the Kurds, Rob. Of course we got to go in there. It's the same thing every time. And you know what? The next time it's going to be the same thing. They're ready to do it on China as well. They're going to support Western imperialism on China when that gets ramped up. Biden is going full steam ahead with the trade war against China. And these same people are like, Uyghurs, Rob, or Taiwan, yeah. I got someone calling me like a genocide supporter because I platformed Carl Jha, who supports the invasion of Taiwan. Rob, you support Saddam Insane? Remember that? I remember that in the schoolyard and when I was like 10 years old, 12 years old. Saddam Insane. That's what they would have said. Rob, we got to support AUKUS. We got to protect Taiwan, Rob. These anti-imperialist tankies refuse to support AUKUS in their noble, heroic defense of Taiwan. This is a great example of liberal trying to claim leftist bona fides in hindsight. All these libs think they have the right to criticize Dick Cheney for being a warmonger when they would support it today 100%, for sure. And I've seen you know what, Lana, I remember Lana got criticized for this exact take, saying most of you would have supported Iraq war. And people were like, what? There was these big protests or whatever. It's like, no. It's totally different. It's totally different this time around. With social media and Twitter, you all would have been fucking fooled. You all would have been brought into this. You would have been talking about babies being fucking thrown out of incubators and that bullshit again. I know I 100% agree with you, Lana. All these fucking people. All these fucking people would have been like, we gotta support this. We got Saddam. We gotta get rid of this guy. He's dangerous. No, you were 100% correct, Lana, as per usual. I can't understand how people who have seen this exact same scenario, this exact discourse play out at least half a dozen times in the last decade, don't see that they're being lied to. And I think this is why I wanted to look at this conversation, because it's so illuminating. When it's like, yeah, usually, of course, people are skeptical about NATO because usually they're the bad guys, but in this case, they're not. He literally says it kind of is black and white. Despite me saying, like, look at what the Global South is saying. Stop thinking about this in black and white terms. And it's like, no. Usually that's correct, but this time, no, they're not. This time it is black and white. It's not. It's not, sir. It's not. Also, a lot of those protests came to nothing and got absorbed by the Dems, who went on to totally cannibalize the anti-war movement. All these same people supported the bombing campaign in Libya and Syria. Yeah, because it was their guy doing it. How much of those libs that were involved in the Iraq war protests were doing it as an anti-Bush thing? If that had been the Al Gore Iraq war, would those people have been out there in the streets? No, they would not have. No, they would not have. And we all know if 9/11 had happened under Gore, he would have done the exact same fucking thing. He would have done whatever the national security establishment wanted him to do. This idea that it wouldn't have happened had Gore won is nonsense. He means it's black and white, as it's in his black and white in his mental gym. This is what I was trying to impress to this person. Is it black and white this time? Is it really? Or are you wrong about this, actually? Or, you know? Or maybe you've been swept up in this Western propaganda campaign and you think it's black and white, and really that's a childish, foolish thing to believe. It's ultimately concerning that there are active protests against Republican unprovoked wars, but when Obama drone strikes a civilian wedding, a fraction of those people straight up don't care. Nope.
To talk you through all this.
Nope.
I'm reeling in the year's winking face.
Doc, I really appreciate you, sir. I really do. Thank you for the one entire year resub at tier 2. Thank you, Doc. Are you reeling in the years? Throwing away the time. What does this do? I'm almost scared to look at this. I'm almost scared to look at this. What is this?
Tattoo they gave me, bitch. This is the other tattoo they gave me for blowing up the fucking pipeline. Come get me. Come get me. Arrest me. Throw me. Come on, Interpol. Get me. Other tattoo they gave me, bitch. This.
Great. Very cool. Very, very cool. This is another guy that complained when I did that very simple tweet about our support of terrorism. This guy who's literally donated to these donated money to these terrorists and has decided to become a propagandist for these very people. This guy who compares himself to Hunter S. Thompson. He's got one of these NAFO avies or whatever, and compares himself to Hunter S. Thompson, who famously did a lot of pro-Western, pro-American imperialist commentary. I'm sure Hunter S. Thompson would have written really about against the Russian menace. Imagine getting a Mujahideen tattoo after seeing the Rambo movie. And you know what? When all this comes out, when 9/11 2 Azov edition happens, none of these people will admit that they were wrong. You know that they won't. They won't admit that they were wrong. Lana, it's so funny that I remembered that tweet. You were 100% correct about that. About the support of these people supporting the Iraq war. 100% correct. Yeah, they'll blame it on it was the rogue element of Azov. It was a few bad apples, okay? It was just a few bad apples. That's why I've officially lost my mind. What's the thing? Whenever people yell at me over this shit, I just don't look at any of it. Because it's so psychically damaging. Like when you just say something like, what this should be a completely uncontroversial tweet. This should be a completely controversial tweet. And I don't mean to continue looking at this, but I just think it's very instructive. This should not be controversial. This stance. And we can look through the thousands of replies of this or the quote tweets, all the different, I don't even want to because I don't look at any of it, but like this should not be controversial. And it's like people got so upset over me saying this. People got so fucking upset. It was Lawnmower Man. Yeah, there was an image from Lawnmower Man in there. Also, people are meaner to me because of my girl particles. That is true as well. That is very true. I don't mean to keep fixating on this. I was just really taken aback by the response to this totally fucking totally uncontroversial historical analogy. Because that I tweeted because I was uncomfortable with seeing all the memeing about like Russian civilians being incinerated on a fucking bridge that was like truck bombed. Here's another uncontroversial tweet as well, while we're at it. People don't like this, though. People don't like when I point out these true, very true facts. About how Rhaenyra is clearly the successor to the Iron Throne. Oh, sure, on his deathbed. For 20 years, Viserys was like, no, she's the heir. No, I'm not making Aegon the heir. I'm very clear about this. I'm extremely clear about the fact that Aegon's not the heir and Rhaenyra is. Oh, on his deathbed, though, to one person. He just changed his mind. He just changed his mind. Yeah, that's bullshit. How does anyone fucking sleep at night? Going along with that. Disgusting. Here's another are we the baddies moment. Okay? Here's another one. I got a couple here. I really tried to change this person's mind, folks. I really, really tried. No, I didn't talk about absolute monarchy yet. No. That is going to be more anti-goose propaganda. No, I think we settled that argument. I think that's been firmly established and everyone understands that I could defeat a goose. I'd be interested in Lana's take on it. Lana, you could defeat a goose, right? If it came down to it. I know you're not going to look for a fight with a goose. Clearly, Lana could easily defeat a goose, though. Maybe. Okay, I'll take that. Just one. Hypothetically. Twitter isn't about sorting truth from falsehood. It's a contest to see who's the pithiest in a mirror maze of spook propaganda. Yeah. I wasn't watching the stream during the goose thing. When we get completely back into it. No, we cannot. No. I'm sorry, G Kleppy. I don't want to relitigate this. And we're going to have Miragons coming in now. Miragons who has some kind of alert system set up for whenever I mention this. And then immediately comes in. Here's another are we the baddies moment. Okay, and I actually haven't looked at this clip. I was waiting to look at this on the stream. The alert is the secret DM group that's only about goose talk. Let's hear this.
Thank you, Madam Minister. So I'm from one of the in-between countries in Africa. I work at the African Development Bank, and we're going through our 16th replenishment of our concessional window. And the messaging we're getting from the West is we're not going to get that much resources because a lot of the money is going to go to Ukraine. And now you're talking about friendship. You don't want some of our countries to fall in the hands of Russia, and Russia is knocking in many of the countries in West Africa. And yet, we're not going to get as much aid, so we don't backslide on the democratic front. There's a bit of a tension there, and I just welcome your response on how you think
Brookings Institute.
how you think we can move forward positively in this regard. Merci.
So I think that is an excellent question and something I am very preoccupied by. And I'm going to start actually by just sort of gently interrogating two words you used, which is about African countries falling into the hands of Russia and African countries backsliding. I think it's not my job to sit in judgment about that.
Here comes the lecture.
And one of the sort of profound lessons I think of
Does Freeland have a chance of becoming PM? I'm going to say no. No, I don't think so.
the war in Ukraine is democracy can only be built by people themselves, for themselves. And a democracy can only be defended by people themselves if they're actually prepared to die for their democracy. And I think that's something Volodymyr Zelensky understood from day one, that Ukraine was only going to fight if he stuck around, and Ukrainians saw that he stuck around, and like they're fighting for themselves. They're doing it themselves, and actually I think that's why it's working.
Simply just go out and fight and die. Why? And if you want your country to be more democratic, that's the problem. Why aren't you going out and dying for democracy? Like the noble Ukrainians. Johnny says, I want you to know that even as I'm on the clock driving, I'm intently listening and only sometimes watching while on the roads in New Jersey. Don't get in an accident, Johnny. Don't get in an accident, okay? Be careful. You want to be more democratic? 1v1 me, chump. No, she didn't really answer the question either. And I think pointing to Africa's stance on Russia and Ukraine has been very interesting, and a very interesting way to break through the Western propaganda on this, who have been very ambivalent, despite all the lectures from people in the West about how Africa needs to show up to support Ukraine. Excuse me. Despite all the lectures from the West about how Africa needs to support Ukraine, Africa has been uniformly, at the very least, ambivalent about this, and sometimes some segments just openly supporting Russia's actions there. I think people in Africa are very aware of Western intervention and at these proxy wars and how they work and who the bad guys are in those situations. Of course, African nations are siding up with Russia because you haven't done shit for them, you dumb asshole. Yeah, just die, said the Voldemort-faced imperialist. Why doesn't Africa support the West on this? It's just a mystery. It's just a mystery wrapped in an enigma. Even in that UN vote the other day, which was framed as being condemnation of Russia, which wasn't even really accurate. It was a procedural vote about respecting territorial integrity or something vis-a-vis Ukraine. And even though not a lot of countries voted against that resolution, virtually all of Africa abstained. We watched that clip of the president of the youth wing of the ANC talking to Rania Khalek, and I mentioned this to Rania when I talked to her, and she was like, "No, we support Putin. We think that what they're doing is good, and we want the West to lose." And it was very, very clear, almost too much. We were watching, and Rania was kind of okay. It was almost you need to be more diplomatic on this. But no, it's not surprising that Africa doesn't support the West on this. And these are this is all these Ukraine flags and bio people that keep lecturing me. People are like, I'm on the real left and I support Ukraine. This is your partner. This is who you stand with. This is who you're standing alongside. And you're standing alongside the British government, the Canadian government, the American government, the Israeli government, the French. And they're just like, I see no problem with this. I have no cognitive dissonance over this whatsoever. It's actually you that has cognitive dissonance. 87% of the world doesn't back the West on Ukraine and most of our imperialism. And that's what I tried to impress to that guy in that conversation that I had, first and foremost. Look what the Global South is saying about this. And they're just like, well, no, I understand why they're skeptical about NATO, but just in this case, they're wrong and NATO is right. And it's like, how do you get through to someone like that? How do you get through to someone like that? I think she goes on too.
The in-between, believe, is the in-between countries, certainly the countries of Africa. This is a choice they need to make for themselves, and the people need to make for themselves. And it's hard. Building a democracy is hard. It's hard even keeping a democracy going, even a democracy that is as lucky and as prosperous and as safe as Canada. It's still hard.
It's so prosperous and safe for who, though? For who? That's kind of the question. It's safe for who? And lecturing people in Africa about the lack of democracy. Someone in fucking Canada. Let's take a look at what mining interests in Canada and what they're up to in Africa. Should we do that, Christia? Like, we're fucking lecturing Africans about democracy. Let's maybe take a look at the role that Canada, the United States, the British, the French, the Portuguese, the Spanish, and other countries have played in Africa, and the role that we've played, whether we've supported or not supported democracy in Africa. Did we support democracy when we were involved? You were deeply implicated in the assassination of Sankara in Burkina Faso or Patrice Lumumba? Let's maybe take a look at the role that these countries have played in promoting democracy in Africa. And this fucking loser giving a speech at the goddamn demonic Brookings Institute is then lecturing a guy from Africa about how Africans just don't want it enough. They just don't want it enough. Why are you not out there fighting and dying for democracy, sir? Why are you in here asking me this question? Why aren't you fighting and dying for democracy like the noble Ukrainians? Are we pumping billions of arms to pro-democratic struggles in Africa? The Canadian ruling class was all on board with fucking apartheid until it became completely diplomatically impossible to continue to support it. Have you tried your bootstraps, sir? You just vote harder. Have you not voted, sir? It's so condescending. It's so fucking condescending. Libs are really soft-spoken demons. Horribly cold, cynical answer, but make it ASMR. That's right. You kind of disguise the really demonic, evil shit behind the soft-spokenness. Man, it's so blatant that she seated all these Ukrainian Nazis with their ideals. That's just her following through with her grandpa's dreams. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's just look at the rest of this madness-inducing clip.
So that would be kind of, my first point is I really think a key idea we have to have is we have to set aside paternalism, maybe even the paternalism of the end of history thinking. And we have to really see the agency as being in citizens, and in citizens choosing and constructing and being responsible for their own countries, and their own societies. So that would be my first thought. And then my second thought is, I do think we
Paternalism,
the countries of, do you want to call it the non-geographic West, the rich industrialized countries? I think if anything, right now, at this historical moment, we need to step up our engagement with, the countries I described as the in-between countries. We need to prove we mean it. We need to prove we're sincere. We need to prove we're real partners.
You have time for one more question.
And again, I just want to look at this again. When all the training of the far-right extremists was going on, when the Canadian forces were arming and training these far-right extremists, or Nazis, if you want to call them that.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Thank you, Don Dark Sony, for another gifted sub. And you know what, Don Dark Sony, I don't think I thanked you 23 minutes ago for the gifted sub to Cameron San Diego. So thank you for that as well. I really appreciate all the support, Don Dark Sony. I really, really do. Thank you. When we were arming, though, and funding these far-right extremists, or Nazis, if you want to call them, who was the foreign minister? Who was the lifelong Ukrainian nationalist foreign minister at that time? I can't quite recall who that was. Who was the lifelong Ukrainian nationalist with the Ukrainian nationalist fascist sympathizing grandfather whose life work has been to build this right-wing, anti-communist, anti-Soviet Ukrainian national identity and has contributed to the rehabilitation of all these figures like Stepan Bandera? Who was the foreign minister at the time that was funding and arming these far-right militia groups? I just can't remember. I just can't seem to remember who that was. The short answer is get fucked. We're not giving you any of the money we promised. Yes, it is. It's so fucking infuriating. It is so infuriating. And again, all these people that are lecturing me, I don't want to bring it back to me and my feelings of being annoyed with like the weird online NAFO freaks that fucking yell at me over this stuff and lecture me about this bullshit. But this is the shit that makes me feel insane. For me to say to point this out and have people just say, hand wave that away. And they just don't want to hear about it. Have you seen the amount of Stepan Bandera statues there are in Ukraine? They worship that guy over there. It certainly seems like that, yeah. I guess you want Pierre to be the next PM. That's true, yeah. That's why I'm doing this. It does seem like they worship that guy, doesn't it? Nothing to see here. Okay, maybe we shouldn't be paternalistic in our world-dominating imperialism, okay? I legit thought NAFO was a meme word or a pun on NATO. I'm so naive. Well, it is, but they think it's good, though. She literally talks like the boss from Office Space. It's a little bit of that. I was actually thinking about the secretary from Office Space just this morning. I don't know why I was thinking about it. Just a moment. I can't remember the name of the, when she hits that high note. But it's kind of the boss as well. Yeah. It's that corporate, it's like that McKinsey corporate neoliberal condescending demeanor. Corporate accounts, Nina speaking. Just a moment. Yeah. I can't stop imagining Nancy Pelosi as a soft-spoken sleep paralysis demon lecturing me on the importance of Pokemon going to the polls. Johnny, I love you and I love your contribution to the chat. You're fucking driving, sir. Don't risk your life to comment. You have wonderful comments and contributions, Johnny. Do not risk your life to comment on this stream. Eyes on the road, sir. We got it. We got this. Unbelievable. And again, here's another thing that I wanted to look at that happened this weekend after I finished talking about this, and it made me want to bring this up as well. Here's the enlightened liberal viewpoint. Remember Remember how the tanky viewpoint is like, maybe we should, there's plenty of red lights in traffic. I don't know. I don't know about this, Johnny. I can't condone this. This is the nuanced liberal viewpoint from nuanced liberal Andrew Coyne, sharing the nuanced liberal view of Terry Glavin, the brutal reality of what's needed to end the Ukraine war, coffins with Russian soldiers in them. That's the nuanced, peace-loving liberal viewpoint of this conflict. And remember the tanky viewpoint. The genocide-denying tanky viewpoint is that we should maybe have some kind of a fucking negotiation and a ceasefire so Ukraine stops being a war zone and we stop this brinksmanship and this nonstop escalation, which is going to get even more people killed in Ukraine and elsewhere. That's the tanky position. And the nuanced liberal position is that the brutal reality of what's needed to end the Ukraine war is coffins with Russian soldiers in them. There we go. These people love to lecture us about being violent and being tankies, don't they? It is wild. But the State Department says Russia is only going to use baby nukes, so it's going to be okay. There's been people saying, like, it actually wouldn't be that bad. It wouldn't even be that big of a deal. It would a nuclear holocaust in this case wouldn't even be that big of a problem. That's where we're at. That's where we're at with the discourse. And remember, those are the people that love to lecture us about tankies and being violent. That Joseph Borrell speech is surreal. They honestly think this is going to end with Putin deposed and the Russian army destroyed. I didn't see that. But it's delusional, isn't it? It's extremely delusional. It is extremely fucking delusional. They really think this is going to happen. They really think they're going to like retake Crimea and all this stuff. I saw one tweet that's like, according to Ukrainians, Russia's almost out of their strategic missile supplies, so they're going to be completely defenseless. And it's like, according to Ukrainians, you can say according to Ukrainians a lot of things. You can pretty much say whatever you want. According to Ukrainians, Putin is like gay and crying right now. But like, that doesn't necessarily make it true. They love to tell us about how much they support human rights and how evil and authoritarian we are. And then they're the first people to turn around and say we should nuke Russia while making excuses for U.S. drone strikes in Somalia or invading Haiti again. As a liberal, it's eating dinner with Nazis that makes you a Nazi. Arming them with billions of dollars of weapons is fine. And when you go back, especially with some of these like younger people as well, the people that love to yell at me, like our friend Blippo Blappo or whatever his name is, and they have all these tweets about like punching Nazis and stuff. Remember like 2017, all these people were like, punch every Nazi you see. And these same people are like, I don't think we should send weapons and training to these like fascist militia groups in Ukraine. And they're like, well, they're the ones defending the country, so they're not even that big. They're not even that big of a deal. What do you even care? They're defending the country against the imperialist Russian invaders. They're the freedom fighters. They need to send them Stinger missiles, okay? Literally the same people. And it's this thing where like these Ukrainian fascists, there's so few of them that they don't make any actual difference in the grand scheme of things. They have no influence on the government. They have no influence in the military. But at the same time, they're completely indispensable to Ukraine's defense. Both of these things are apparently true. There are so few of them that they don't even matter. They don't make a difference. We don't need to be concerned about them. They don't have any influence on the government. They don't have any influence on the military. But if we stop arming them, Ukraine is immediately fucked, though. So both of these things are true, apparently. And they hold both of these ideas in their minds completely simultaneously. Just as they hold the ideas in their minds that the US government is bad and NATO is bad and the British government is bad and the Canadian government, but we must support them unequivocally in this case. They hold all these viewpoints simultaneously. It's very impressive. It's a very impressive feat of mental gymnastics. And talking about Freeland as well, here's more enlightened, benevolent liberals. So you have friend of the stream, Jeremy Appel. This tweet showing this tweet from Max Fawcett, who says Chrystia Freeland is Canada's Minister of Finance and Deputy Prime Minister.
Have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Thank you for the gifted sub, James. Very kind of you. Oh my goodness.
This is some guy, Rob Russo, some leftist based in Canada.
Oh my
was
goodness.
turned on to this sick individual, and I found this.
Lucid, thank you so much for the raid. I really appreciate it. Raiders, please. I'm so close to... I'm actually not that close. I don't want to mislead you. I'm getting close to 8,000 followers on here, Raiders. Please smash the follow button. Please. It costs you nothing at all to smash the follow button. I'm Rob. Nice to meet you. How are you doing? Thank you for joining the stream today. Thank you very much, Lucid. We love Lucid over here. Big fan. Lucid's been on my podcast with that I do with Jordan Ewell a number of times. Or has it been a number of times? It's been at least once. I want to say it's been twice. Jesus, I'm just killing
This is
it.
some guy, Rob Russo, some leftist based in Canada. I was turned on to this
I'm just
sick
killing it
individual,
right now.
and I found
killing
this.
it in the game. Thank you, Step Back History, for the rate as well. Thank you very much. Anyway, we love Lucid. Thank you for the raid, Lucid. I'm Rob. You might know me from the Insurgents podcast, on which Lucid has been a guest on 2 occasions. You might know me from Twitter. You might know me as that Putin-loving, Putin-supporting supporter of Russia from Twitter. You might know me. Everyone knows this about me. Very common knowledge that I'm one of these people. You might know me from there. You might know me just from this stream. You might not know me at all, but I'm a socialist streamer here in Montreal. And I'm very happy to have you on the stream today. Thank you. A number of you smashed the follow button, and I appreciate that. And if anyone else feels like smashing the follow button, again, this costs nothing. It costs nothing to do this. Lucid Raiders, I give Rob Russo my highest recommendation. Listen to Bruno. Follow now, you won't regret it. Listen to Bruno. Bruno knows what's up. And thank you also to Step Back History for the raid. Some big raids going on right now. Very exciting. So I'm just to retrace my steps here. I've been talking a lot about Russia and Ukraine lately over the last couple of weeks. And right now I've been talking about Chrystia Freeland. We were just looking at this speech from Chrystia Freeland, who's Canada's, I think now she's the finance minister. Isn't that right? She's the deputy prime minister. She was the foreign minister. She's been deeply implicated in arming and funding these right-wing militias in Ukraine for years now, prior to this invasion taking place. If I smash it, it says unfollow. Should I still smash it? No, you should not.
Good old Rob to talk you through all
No,
this.
you should not. If it's going to unfollow, then don't do that. Thank you, Old Dutch. Look at that. 19 months of tier 2. Thank you, Old Dutch. Very much appreciated for that. Thank you. Show us your Putin lover tattoo. It's actually my whole back. It's my entire back. So, hey, Mia Mulder, welcome. We're talking about Chrystia Freeland right now, and we're talking about the kind of weird reverence that these liberals in Canadian media have for Chrystia Freeland. That is what we're talking about right now. Rob has a Yakuza-style tattoo of shirtless Putin riding a bear on his back. That is true. That's absolutely true. Absolutely correct. Yeah. Very Roger Stone of you. No, it's true. Yeah. The thing is, not only am I getting paid by Putin to do a lot of the commentary that I do, I also get paid by Roger Stone as well, though. So I'm playing both sides against each other. This is how I come out on top, and this is how the community comes out on top. Okay? It's not just for me that I do this, it's for all of us. I'm also a Wu Mao as well. That's right. Triple dipping. Not even double, triple dipping. I've got the She Bucks, the Putin Bucks. who else? And the Roger Stone Bucks as well. So a lot of Bunsen. Bunsen burner, nice little earner. Don't let that stop you from subscribing, though. Oh boy. Okay, I'm getting way off base here. So what got us talking about this? And maybe we can look at this again. But just for some of you, just to like set the stage here. This is Chrystia Freeland giving a speech at the Brookings Institute, and we were talking about the way that she responded to this man from Africa, who's kind of very politely and civilly talking about Canada's endless support for Ukraine, while Africa is not getting the aid that it needs, and like watching this kind of like very paternalistic lecture from Chrystia Freeland about this, where she's lecturing this man from Africa about why people in Africa are not out there dying for their democracy. While, again, as I pointed out before, ignoring the role that Canada, the US, the UK, France, Portugal, and the Dutch, and all these other countries have played in subverting democracy in Africa time and time again. So I'll show this clip again. I'm sorry to anyone that watched this already, but I think it's important to set the stage on this. If people already got triggered by this, but we're going to be re-triggered again, we'll watch this, and then we'll go on to the Max Fawcett discourse after this. Max Fawcett is this incredible dipshit, a liberal journalist here in Canada. And I am going to also get another beverage while I play this. I'm not even going to look at it again. I'm going to make you look at it again. I am not going to look at it again, though. And that's how Rob stays winning again.
Thank you, Madam Minister. So I'm from one of the in-between countries in Africa. I work at the African Development Bank, and we're going through our 16th replenishment of our concessional window. And the messaging we're getting from the West is we're not going to get that much resources because a lot of the money is going to go to Ukraine. And now you're talking about friendship. You don't want some of our countries to fall in the hands of Russia, and Russia is knocking in many of the countries in West Africa. And yet, we're not going to get as much aid, so we don't backslide on the democratic front. There's a bit of a tension there, and I just welcome your response on how you think how you think we can move forward positively in this regard. Merci.
So I think that is an excellent question and something I am very preoccupied by. And I'm going to start actually by just sort of gently interrogating two words you used, which is about African countries falling into the hands of Russia and African countries backsliding. I think it's not my job to sit in judgment about that.
Just want to gently interrogate.
One of the sort of profound lessons I think of the war in Ukraine is democracy can only be built by people themselves, for themselves. And a democracy can only be defended by people themselves if they're actually prepared to die for.
Why does she sound so condescending? This is how liberals talk. We were saying this earlier, Husker. She's taken whatever, like the McKinsey liberal condescending voice training or whatever. This is just how they all sound.
For their democracy. And I think that's something Volodymyr Zelensky understood from day one, that Ukraine was only going to fight if he stuck around, and Ukrainians saw that he stuck around, and like they're fighting for themselves. They're doing it themselves, and actually I think that's why it's working. So part of what...
Why has no African ever struggled and fought for democracy, sir? Like the noble Ukrainians. Did you ever think about that? Why doesn't Africa act more like Volodymyr Zelensky? She does it in the accent. Why has no African ever gotten out and struggled for democracy, sir? Maybe you should think about that. I'm just going to gently hold space to tell you to go fuck yourself. Yeah. God. Ruru Bengo, I really came close to just banning you for that. I don't know if that's a joke. I'm sure it probably is. I just about banned you for that comment. I was really, like, my finger was like hovering over the ban button there. Jesus Christ. Okay, so trigger discipline. That's right. I have a soft heart. Okay, I have too much of a soft heart for Twitch. I've got to harden my heart here to thrive on this platform. I'm too much of a softie. Y'all over here sounding like J.R. Hellebrand. What's next? You're going to claim that the violence of colonialism has hindered the development of an organized democratic state? That's frankly absurd, of course. Absolutely correct. Okay, Ruru Bango, the community has spoken. I'm sorry about this. Goodbye. I've got to harden my heart and increase my attacks. Okay? I'm not going to tolerate this. Anyway, so that's Chrystia Freeland. And then so let's look at like the liberal Canadian journalists and how they react to this lady. It's Dylan Burns' alt. Gotta harden my heart and increase my attacks on these kind of on these chatters. So Max Fawcett, dipshit Canadian Liberal journalist, says, Chrystia Freeland is Canada's Minister of Finance and Deputy Prime Minister.
We simply
but it's on the global
use
stage
the
where she
computer to
truly
mark up
shines.
the size of the account.
For Stalinist Rob mode.
Thank you, Dimitri. Thank you for supporting me on this. Thank you. We honestly do not have to rate the attractiveness of women. That is true as well. That is very true. So Max says it's on the global stage where she truly shines. The latest example came in, and this is a response to this exact speech at the Brookings Institute. The latest example came in a speech she delivered at a Brookings Institution event in Washington, D.C., laying out her vision of the New World Order that needs to unfold in the wake of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Not sinister at all. Not sinister at all. This like crypto-fascist, sympathizing, fucking neoliberal, condescending, colonialist, imperialist fucking weirdo. Talking about the New World Order that needs to emerge. Not sinister at all. No, but it's the New World Order, but good. Don't worry. It's good. It's actually not sinister. Don't worry about it. Freeland's vision revolves around a renewed embrace of democratic alliances and shared economic interests, one that's backstopped by the so-called friend-shoring of key supply chains. Friend-shoring. What another demonic, like McKinsey turn of phrase there. So Jeremy Appel, friend of the stream, points that out. Max Fawcett said, Trudeau may trigger conservatives, but Chrystia Freeland absolutely owns the far left. Nora gets in there owning the far left by being a racist, smug shit. Max, it's a back and forth with them. But this is the amazing thing, because then you have Eve Engler saying, leading coup bid in Venezuela, backing Bolivia coup, Nazi granddad, and 3 decades of pushing conflict with Russia. Calling Canada on UNSC an asset for Israel. Lots of good reasons to be appalled by Freeland. And then here's Max Fawcett. Says, pushing conflict with Russia, you mean courageously resisting Russian aggression and imperialism. And here's the amazing thing about people like Max, like liberals like Max and the media like this. Like, remember, if you're a journalist, you're not supposed, they teach this in J school. They're very clear about this. You're not allowed to have these like open political leanings, right? You're supposed to be like objective. And believe me, if any fucking journalist ever talked about like the NDP or even someone remotely on the left, someone like talked about Jeremy Corbyn or some remotely like leftist person, people like Max would be like, oh, they're using their platform, they're biased. They would be calling them out for this kind of bias, but apparently it's totally okay to talk about Chrystia Freeland like she's a fucking queen of this country. She's some heroic defender of democracy and these beautiful Western values. That's normal and fine. That is just totally okay to do, right? If anyone in the media ever talked about Jeremy Corbyn or Bernie Sanders or fucking anyone remotely on the left like this is supposed to be an objective journalist. People like Max Fawcett would vomit. They would literally vomit with disgust. But apparently this is okay. I swear I've seen Max complain about someone using biased language talking about the cops. Courageously resisting Russian aggression and imperialism. And again, your boy was in there as well. And again, I ask, who was the foreign minister at the time when this stuff was going on? When Canadian troops were training neo-Nazis and war criminals in eastern Ukraine, who was the foreign minister of this country again? Who was the lifelong Ukrainian nationalist with the fascist sympathizing Ukrainian nationalist grandfather who was foreign minister at the time that this was going on, when we were training these neo-Nazi groups? According to enlightened liberal Max Fawcett, that's courageously resisting Russian aggression and imperialism. And again, just to point out to people that just joined us in the raid, like this is more of the enlightened liberals in Canada and how they view this kind of conflict. And this is the only way that we can ever engage with the conflict in Ukraine. The brutal, this is from Terry, these are two enlightened liberals here, Coyne and Terry Glavin. The brutal reality of what's needed to end the Ukraine war, coffins with Russian soldiers in them. This is what passes for discourse about this in this country. The enlightened, non-biased liberals in our Canadian media class, this is what passes for analysis about this. It's truly fucking astounding. And I guess the last thing that I wanted to talk about while we're on
use the computer
Russia
to mark
Ukraine,
up the size of the account.
What's this, Dimitri? Thank you for the 100 friend coin, Dimitri. I appreciate that. I mean, how many fucking examples of this kind of shit is there? This apparently tiny faction seems recently in Donbass, Ukraine, NATO supporting troops sing odes to Bandera while making anti-Semitic slurs. And again, I don't speak Ukrainian. I did hear a Bandera in there, though. I don't want to vouch for the accuracy of this translation. Again, Stepan Bandera, they can't stop naming streets after this guy. They can't stop erecting statues to this guy in Ukraine, who, once again, if you're not familiar, helped perpetrate the Holocaust, was deeply implicated and involved in the mass murder of Jews and Polish people in Ukraine, to the point that even the Nazis were like, sir, you've taken this a bit too far. You're going a little too far with this. He was literally too extreme for the Nazis. This is the heroic figure of Ukrainian nationalism that has been rehabilitated over the last 8 months, or there's been the project that's been going on since 2014 especially. And in case anyone's watching and they're confused about my viewpoint on this, I don't think, none of this commentary is to point out that, I think it's good when Ukrainian civilians are killed. In case anyone's confused about this, none of this commentary should be taken as the fact that I want to hang out with Vladimir Putin and think that he's cool, and I want to shake his hand, and that I support bombing Kiev, or that I support blowing up blowing up Ukrainian civilians. I actually don't. I actually think my viewpoint on this, my controversial stance on this, is that we should all be working to end the conflict in Ukraine rather than prolonging it and expanding it and escalating it. That's my viewpoint. I think there should be less dead Ukrainians and less dead Russians. That's my controversial stance on this, which is apparently now in Canada and the US just so out of bounds, so beyond the pale, that when you say this, people call you a genocide supporter and whatever else for saying, like, I think that there should be less dead Ukrainians and not more. I think Ukraine should not be a war zone anymore. That's my controversial viewpoint. But when I say these kind of viewpoints, look at this transition. When I say these kind of viewpoints, you know, the first people that come to start yelling at me about it are these friends, the fellas in NAFO, who I described last week as a CIA and NATO affiliated unpaid propaganda outfit, which is true. They are affiliated with the CIA. Prominent former CIA agent John Cipher has one of these fella avies on Twitter or profile pics. I assume you covered Moss's article about NAFO. We're going to look at that right now, Lana. CIA volunteers in the boomer community. Very sad people. NB Ryan. Very, very sad individuals. But I only apparently scratched the surface. Now, NAFO, over the last couple of months, they've been glowing profiles in Western media. They're getting shout-outs by the official Ukrainian government account. You've got sitting U.S. congressmen talking about NAFO. Has been like uncritically promoted and by all kinds of different sources here in the West. So let's look at this. The creator of NATO. Where is this tweet? I know someone linked it in the... This is the head fella. The head fella, I guess. Locked account now, apparently. Locked account now. Who is this fella that we're talking about here? Who created this whole thing? NAFO founder Kamil Dziuski is an anti-Semitic gamer from Poland. And big shout out to Moss Robeson for the work that Moss has done in talking about this issue. So let's look at some of these posts, these older posts from like a few years ago, not from 10 years ago, not from 15 years ago, a few years ago from this person. From September 16th, 2020. Mocking Holocaust victims. Nearly 2/3 of young Americans do not know that 6 million Jews were murdered in the Holocaust. Not the 6 million with some crying faces. Here's some more posts from this guy who apparently was like this recent thing. There's like, I've just a couple of jokes. Don't look into what NAFO stands for. We don't need to look into this. I'm here from the Anti-Polish Defamation League. I'm here to review your content. Starlight, I don't know a lot of Polish people, but if more Polish people are like you, I love and support the people of Poland. Because I think, Starlight, I think you're a wonderful person. Okay? I don't know how representative your views are in your country, though, sir. Just as my views are apparently not represented whatsoever in most people in Canada as well. Otherwise a horrid country, horrid place. Replying to ADL intern. Oh, good. No, this seems like a really, really cool guy. Stop to find out which dictator you are. Adolf Hitler. And he says, nice. This is from 2020. More Hitler memes. More Nazi memes. A lot of Nazi memes from this guy 2 years ago. Supporting someone plowing through peaceful protesters in Portland. More Nazi memes. This guy just seems to love Nazis. This is January 6th, 2021. January 6th, 2021. There is no political solution. Remember that? What was going on that day? What was going on that day? He seems to stand Nazis and Confederates. He sure does. And again, this wasn't like 15 years ago. This wasn't 15 years ago when he was a kid. This was quite literally last year. Just a fella trying to fit in and mess with the people. You can't see his tweet anymore. I would love to see a screenshot. More of this stuff from 2019. Lots of Nazi memes from this guy. I would love it. Does someone have a screenshot? Does someone have a screenshot of the guy's explanation post for this? And they kept the Avies, Matt. They still love it. There's Dylan Burns and all these guys. They're like, whatever. And again, even in my tweet about this, you have people like making excuses for this. He makes all these Avies, this guy, and works with St. Javelin. Look, Adam Kissinger, sitting U.S. congressman, giving this guy a shout out for his cool fella NAFO Avi. All kinds of people. Oh, that guy Oz Katarij, that was a big anti-Corbyn guy. That was a big Corbyn anti-Semite guy, if I remember correctly. Oz Katerji with the NAFO thing, giving a shout out to this guy. This guy was really, really into the anti-Semitism crisis in the Labour Party. It was very important for him to talk about this kind of stuff. And these are all the people that are replying. We all put a foot wrong now and again. Kama Kamili has fixed this misstep and should take his rightful spot at the head of the pack of the Felosphere once more. Slava Ukraini. No one pisses on Kama Kamili. He's our overlord. All these guys, they don't care. And there's people in my mentions doing this too. About Kama Kamili, unfortunate jokes, folks. These unfortunate jokes. Whatever he said or did in the past, now he has stood up for a Jew-run country under Russian-waged Holocaust, taking thousands of people with them. Becky fucking telling on themselves. You got a Ukraine flag and an American flag. Says 15 years ago, I was the definition of a human dumpster fire. I was racist and hateful to almost everyone. I dropped the hard N-word all the time. I even called a high school friend it along with another slur. Okay, Becky. Thanks for letting everyone know. Thank you. But now you're fine. Now you support the Ukraine, so now that makes it okay. Thank you, Becky. Thank you for telling us. Thank you for telling everyone. And then all the dogs, I stand with Kama. They all love this guy. Update some of the 2,883 jokes that NAFO founder Kama Kamili deleted yesterday. That's a lot of jokes. That's a lot of jokes. Replying to based Poland. Does anyone have the screenshot of his apology post? Listen, a few years back, no one hated minorities as much as me. It's like, okay, thank you. Thank you for explaining that. They all think they got the N-word pass for supporting Ukraine. That's right. That's the evidence that I'm no longer racist. That's evidence that I'm no longer a Nazi. I may have been a Nazi before, but now that I support these far-right Ukrainian Nazis, now I'm clearly not a Nazi. So, checkmate. Checkmate, Putin propagandists. Debate and clout-chasing mindset combined with CIA funding is a dangerous combination. Now he's an epic bacon freedom lover. That's right. Poland should be internally partitioned, and I do actually agree with that. I think Moss posted the apology. Well, I know he posted the quote tweet of it, but I don't know if he posted the image. And again, this guy, Dan, is trying to hold Dylan Burns to account. Dylan Burns, who still has this Avi, still has it. And this is how he downplays it. Dylan, did you know that one of the first people to post a dog meme that you think is funny posted offensive tweets 3 years ago? You feel pretty stupid now for finding pictures of cute dogs funny now, is it? Huh? That's how Dylan Burns justifies it, but I'm not surprised considering the fucking tattoos he has. I'm not surprised that he doesn't have an issue with this. I'm not at all surprised. This is Jack's complete lack of surprisal. Love my custom fella made by Kama Camellia. I wish I could find a screenshot of his apology tweet. I'm trying to find it. If you're interested in learning about the origins of this, though, I highly recommend following Moss Robeson, and he's got a really good Medium article about this as well. There, the quote tweet is there. Did someone screenshot it? Let me just see. Oh, here we go. Yeah, good. Amazing. Really amazing stuff. He said, individuals have combed through my timeline and found some overly edgy and incredibly inappropriate jokes I've made a couple years back to fit in, just so I can mess with people further. He was just messing with people, folks. He's just messing with people. None of those are acceptable. And this person said, do you mind saying roughly how old you were at the time? 24. Okay, so just basically a baby. It was 2 years ago and he was 24. He didn't know what, he barely even speaks, he barely even understands anything. Come on. Yeah, just so I can mess with triple parentheses people even further. I was just trying to fit in. Fit in with who, though? That's kind of the question. When you're posting Nazi memes to fit in, who exactly are you trying to fit in with? That is kind of the question. Why did you want to fit in with those people? Why did you want to fit in with people that find Nazi humor entertaining or funny? There was a part of me that used to kind of like Dylan. Then he seemed to fall off the face of the earth, showed up in Ukraine, and refused to even entertain the idea that there might be far-right militia groups there. Military groups. Yeah, I mean, or I think from what I've seen, whenever he's kind of defended this, again, doing this kind of cognitive dissonance thing of saying like, there's groups are there, but they're so few that they don't matter. But also, Ukraine needs them to defend the country. They're completely indispensable to Ukraine's defense, and also they're completely irrelevant and have no influence on the political structure of the country, no influence on the military. These Azov are just young guys messing around trying to find their identity. And I guess I guess this is kind of my point too, is that none of this means that you need to think when Putin says like we need to denazify Ukraine. You don't need to like take that seriously or think that that's 100% that all of Russia's motivations are totally altruistic. You can point out the fact that there's legitimate threats to their security that we've been contributing to. That doesn't mean that it's okay. That doesn't mean that killing civilians is okay, or any of the horrible, horrific things that inevitably happen in any war. It doesn't mean you need to believe that like every single thing that they say is 100% true, or that they don't do their own terrible things. You know, you don't need to think that, but you really do need to acknowledge that this is a fucking problem, right? You can't just pretend that this does not exist. And as I've been repeatedly pointing out, we have contributed to this. We have helped this movement. We have armed these people. We have funded these people. It's not Russian propaganda. It isn't. You don't need to support violence. You don't need to support war. But this is not Russian propaganda. The fact that this is a problem. NAFO gang. We have one NAFO gang in the chat. Thank you, really chill guy. Man. NAFO, folks. NAFO. So I don't know. As I was saying last week, you know, when I was complaining about this, and the response to my very mild tweet about the fucking bridge, when I have these like CIA affiliated, and now that I see Nazi affiliated people, you know, attacking me, that is generally a sign for me that I'm actually saying something good. And as much as these people in like NAFO or whatever want to intimidate anyone who steps out of line on this, and wants to make them back down and apologize and get uncomfortable and feel like they're like being attacked or whatever. When I'm being attacked by people that are like this is the origin of it. This is what they're fighting for. This is what the purpose of it is. This is who they're standing against. I'm not intimidated. And I'm generally going to take that as a sign that like I'm on the right track. And yet people just still defending it. Fucking cursed. A Polish flag and an EU flag. Such cursed flag combinations. On the right track to support Putin. Exactly. That's exactly what I meant. Because as really chill guy and everyone in the chat knows, big time Putin supporter over here. That's me. Here they are. They all come. Russian propaganda. It's Russian propaganda. Donate to the Georgian Legion. Everything I don't like is just like the Nazis. That's what this guy says. All the NAFO, all the fellas, like clockwork, showing up. Look at that, from our friend Matt. Literally the official Ukraine account. Like, what the fuck? Lana, what's with these people? Lana, what's going on? What is going on? Who are these people? This is like a modest proposal, says this fella. Why the left should stop supporting the Palestinian cause to avoid nuclear war and more bloodshed. And now that Israel has come out more to support Ukraine, you'll see a lot more of this as well. This is just like, I feel like this is just a combination of words that's just designed to induce madness in whoever reads them. Like it's like a magic spell. It's like a fucking magic spell just designed to make you want to die the moment you read the words in this order. It's a hex and I've cursed us all. That's my role here on Twitch, is to curse you all with the same shit. It is an eldritch curse. They're a Nazi op supported by the Atlantic Council, who pretty much run the trust and safety department at Twitter. I was just seeing, because there was a few people genuinely in my mentions. This is the kind of shit these people are posting. Unbelievable. So many weirdos in these. I can't believe Rob is a Putin supporter. There we go. There was a few people genuinely, like, unironically, just like saying the guy, it was just a mistake from when he was young. All these fellas in my menchies, folks. This is what I do for you. I do this for you. I expose myself to this shit for your benefit, for your interest and your entertainment. Okay? I do this for you. Do you don't think it's for me? You think I want to do this? You think I like this? You think I like doing this? I don't. Okay? I have given myself permanent brain damage from this shit. For your benefit. So you're saying you expose yourself for us. That's right, Kingfisher. All I do is expose myself for this audience, and this is the thanks I get. Some people have never seen an AstroTurf cult they didn't want to join. It's true, NB Ryan. It's true. I got to take a little break. I got about another hour to go. I got about another hour of streaming to go. Maybe we can like dial it back and talk about something kind of different. I don't know. Maybe we can talk about dragon bullshit. I either have a cold, really bad allergies, and I'm on the clock driving around New Jersey. I would still rather stream for a living. No, Johnny, I'm the hardworking, salt of the earth, working class person here in this case. Okay, my job is the real hard work. Okay, my job where I sit here in my office and complain about this stuff all day. Talk about horror movies in the Rob canon. We could do that as well. I'm just going to, I'm going to go for just like 5 minutes. I'm just going to go to the bathroom, okay? I'm not even going to go for a long time. I'm not going to go for a long time at all. It'll just be a few minutes. Don't go anywhere, okay? I'm looking at the numbers, the viewer numbers right now. 189 viewers. If there's one less viewer than that when I come back in 5 minutes, I'm going to be fucking furious. I'm going to flip over my entire desk if one person leaves. Okay?
Brings beauty and efficiency to
I'm not actually going to do that, but don't leave. Don't go anywhere. I'll be back in just a moment. 188 viewers.
This is some guy, Rob Russo, some leftist based in Canada. I was turned on to this sick individual, and I found this.
Majority Report, thank you very much for the raid. Thank you, Majority Report. I really appreciate that. Thank you. How is the Majority Report episode today? Sam Sater, what a fucking nightmare. What a fucking nightmare. How are you doing? Hello. Saved from the wrath. I was just about to go off, Dave. Oh boy, you don't even know. You don't even know. I was about to ruthlessly destroy everyone in the chat. Majority Report, thank you for joining us, by the way. My name is Rob. Please smash the follow button. Please smash the follow button. You might know me from the Insurgents podcast. You might know me from Twitter. You might not know me at all. Very big discrepancy with the Lucid raid earlier and the Majority Report raid. In terms of the follow button smashing. See you later, 10,000 sandwiches. I need to figure out how to get rated like this. I need to be more of a suck up. That is probably true, Lana. That is probably true. You should be more of a suck up and clout chaser like me. You also stream at like odd times. I feel like you're often streaming at like 3 a.m. and stuff. So that's part of the problem. I think you're streaming in vampire hours. So it's hard to get raids when you're in vampire hours. That would be my first recommendation, is just to do streams when other human beings are like awake and functional. Where are all the big vampire streamers at? That's a great question. Leftist vampires are welcome though, obviously, of course, yeah. It's the way to be during spooky month as well. That is true. It is spooky month. That's not going to work for me. Dissing the vampires during their month. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm trying to remove it. So we spent a good 2 hours talking about like important stuff. And if you just came with that raid from Majority Report, you missed all the important stuff, all the important discourse that I was doing. Talking about the fellas, who I of course support. Who I of course support unequivocally in their noble propaganda struggle against the evil Russians. Obviously everyone knows this about me. Anyways, now what are we doing? I got about another hour of the stream left to go. Should I stay on something important, or what am I doing here? Well, there's that video about Haiti that our friend Dimitri sent. I'm going to make sure I save that. Make sure I save that. Let me see. Can we make our own counter NAFO AVs? Maybe they could be like a cat thing. What about that? Maybe something referencing the Warsaw cats. Could that be something? What about that? Is that anything? Maybe that could be something. I don't know. Maybe I'm onto something there. I mostly just need a room with my own setup so I can stream more often. First I need money, it's a circular problem. I know how that goes. Let's see, I was just looking at YouTube. I was just looking at, a couple days ago, I was watching some of that Talking Heads Stop Making Sense concert video. I would love to just put that on right now, and I can't for copyright reasons, but God, that's just wonderful. It's just fucking wonderful. I was watching their version of the live version of This Must Be the Place on the Stop Making Sense tour, and it's just so fucking great. Let's see if our friends in Breakthrough News have anything. I rely on Breakthrough News for so much. Oh, you know what? Here's something. Here's something I wanted to talk about. It's kind of tangentially related to what we were doing. We don't need to do a whole hour on it or anything, but it could be the larger jumping off point to a larger discussion. Nothing ever made sense. Why start now? Great question. Great question. I wanted to talk about this Donald Trump tweet from the weekend. Do I still have it? Thought I did. Let me find it. Oh wait, no, I do have it. One sec. Sorry about this. As soon as this raid gets here, I'm totally like, I don't know. Just completely just bad at doing this. So people probably saw this. This was getting shared around. This tweet from Donald Trump. This should be our cat profile pictures. Okay, I think this has legs. Relic, I think this has legs. I'm kind of liking this. Okay, maybe this is something we can think about. I think there's something there. Thank you, Relic. I guess I might have a somewhat contrarian stance about this Trump tweet. So this Trump tweet, he says, or it's not even a tweet, it's Truth Social. Look at this low engagement numbers for Trump. They got to let him back on Twitter. Just let him back. Fucking what? I know he's a bad guy, but you might as well just let him back at this point. We're always still talking about him anyways. Partisan cats. Really, there's something to that. So this was very controversial, and I'm not totally sure I understand why. He said, no president has done more for Israel than I have. Somewhat surprisingly, however, our wonderful evangelicals are far more appreciative of this than the people of the Jewish faith, especially those living in the U.S. Those living in Israel, though, are a different story. Highest approval rating in the world. Could easily be PM. U.S. Jews have got to get their act together and appreciate what they have in Israel before it's too late. I mean, I guess it's kind of sinister. I agree with that. It is kind of sinister. Almost like a threat to like non-Zionist Jews. So that's kind of disturbing. I guess the thing that I didn't understand about people freaking out about this tweet is just like, this is a variation of what Trump has been saying now for like since 2015, 2016, right? It's literally no different. And it's not just about Trump, but like, what Trump is expressing in this tweet here, that like there's good Jews that support Israel, and then there's bad Jews that don't support Israel, and that evangelicals are they're even more Jewish than the bad Jews that don't support Israel because they do. Isn't this what Zionists believe? Right? Like, I understand why this is offensive and why it's anti-Semitic for Trump to say this, but isn't this what like every Zionist believes? Like, correct me if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, please correct me. This is literally what all Zionists believe, though. Right? Am I wrong? Like, they all think this. Like, look at fucking Ellie Valley, who does like amazing activism and artwork supporting Palestinian human rights and criticizing Israel. Gets routinely for years has been called a capo or a Nazi sympathizer or a bad. Like, this is how Zionists have talked about non-Zionist, non-Israel supporting Jewish people for a long time. It's anti-Semitic to boycott Israel, but it's also anti-Semitic to support Israel too much. Yeah. yeah, I guess that's part of it, is that he's being more brazen about it than you usually hear. Usually there's like people are more cagey about it. But like if like I saw Noah Cohen or whatever did a tweet about this where he's like, this is what you hear at every year at APAC. Like just outright saying the evangelicals like Israel more than diaspora Jews. I know he's being more, this has always been Trump's thing, right? He doesn't do the special words that like allow him to obscure the meaning. He just comes right out and says the things that a lot of these people believe, right? But this is not a uncommon viewpoint. Yeah, Ben Shapiro has said this. It's a common conservative Zionist line. I've heard Shapiro use the term gyno. Yeah. Like this is not, I saw people were freaking out about this Trump tweet. And like I said, I guess it is somewhat sinister. It just seemed like it has some kind of a threat towards non-Zionist Jews in the tweet, which is disturbing for sure. But I guess I was kind of taken aback. Like this just doesn't seem to be that that different from what this is like the conservative Zionist editorial line. They all believe this. Evangelicals want the Jews to go back to Israel so they'll die and burn in hell, which proves how much they love them. You know, I wish one fucking so-called journalist in America, I wish one person would ask one of these Zionist evangelicals about this, you know? One of these people that are like, I'm Christian, but I love Israel so much. I love Israel. I'm even more supportive of Jewish people than these like anti-Semitic non-Israel supporters. I would love for one fucking journalist to just say like, why do you support Israel so much, by the way? I would be very interested to hear the people answer this. No journalist ever answers this question. Never asked this question. Yeah, that's what I mean. Klobocup. Most U.S. evangelicals who support Israel do so because they believe in an end times prophecy that a conflict in the region will bring the return of Jesus. Yeah, they need all the Jews to go back to Israel so their little end times prophecy can commence. I would love for one journalist to ask one of these Zionist evangelicals about this. Half of evangelicals support Israel because they believe it's important for fulfilling end times prophecy. But remember when Ilhan Omar or whoever criticizes the Israel lobby or talks about Israel, or Rashida Tlaib talks about Israel being an apartheid state, that's anti-Semitic, right? That's anti-Semitic. But it's totally okay for these evangelicals who literally want Jews to leave their community, leave their country, to go back to Israel because they don't belong anywhere that's not Israel, so the end of the world can commence because of their whole like religious prophecy. That's just like A-okay. I guess that's what I just found weird about this Donald Trump tweet and the reaction to it, though, which is just that this just seems like a very common thing that Zionists believe. Trump's just, as usual, Trump is just saying the thing that a lot of these folks believe with their hearts, but not being ambiguous or cagey about it, and not couching it in this kind of like liberal, progressive language, you know? I have to hear about it every Thanksgiving. These journalists can't pretend they never heard it. It's the wink and nod inside every conservative pro-Israel article. It's so strange that this never kind of comes up, the reasoning for it. Yeah, but they normally whisper it. That's right. We also don't talk enough about how much end times evangelicalism is motivating the push for World War III too. And like Lana, it's like you have these people endlessly supporting this push for World War III, and then you have people on the left who call those evangelicals like Christian fascists or whatever, but who agree with them about the push for World War III. Please, someone make it make sense. Make it make sense, please. These people are Christian fascists. They want to take over America. And I 100% agree with them in their foreign policy views, by the way. It's so fucking bizarre. It is really, really bizarre. I don't know how much more time I want to spend on this. But I did want to point out this is one of the only other like non-Russia Ukraine thing that I wanted to bring up today was this Trump tweet. It makes sense because Putin is the definition of evil. That's right. Well, this is the thing. If you can convince yourself that Putin is the exact same as Hitler, then there's no amount of like reasoning or facts or other things you can point out about the cognitive dissonance or the support of imperialism or NATO or all that stuff. If you tell yourself that Putin is Hitler, then it doesn't really matter what anyone points out about it. That's just the end of the story. That's the end of the equation. Kanye buying Parler, that's also funny as well. Kanye's just a money mark for these conservatives. It's so sad. Like, I don't want to downplay any of the crazy anti-Semitic shit Kanye's been saying recently, but it's so funny, like this association with fucking Candace Owens, and now he's spending millions to purchase a social media platform from Candace Owens' husband. Like, come on. It's just stupid. Oh yeah, Ryan. Kanye West plans to acquire conservative social media site Parler. And I don't want to get too much into the Kanye stuff because I just find it's depressing and I don't need to do discourse about it. But yeah, so he's buying Parler. Parler's parent company said has entered into an agreement in principle to sell Parler to Ye. And Candace Owens' husband, George Farmer, is the CEO of Parler. Like, it's just so shameless. They're literally just using this like fucked up, weird, mentally ill rich guy who obviously has gone down this path of contrarianism, leading him into this weird, like anti-Semitic, black Israelite, fucked up worldview. And they're just like, this is a great opportunity to like unload my unsuccessful social media company on this guy. Divorced dad's having a bad year. Very, very much, Ryan. Very much. Fucking tell me about it. Permission to dissolve and scatter across the cosmos. Permission granted. Candace must be popping champagne bottles as we speak. Absolutely. Absolutely. He is a dumb fuck, Red Wizard. It's true. He really doesn't have to do this. He's not like some washed up bankrupt celeb from yesterday. He's got fuck you money. Yeah, exactly. No, it just shows how fucking has completely derailed that he's gotten. And I was talking about this as well. You know, the anti-Semitic stuff that Kanye's been saying over the last couple of weeks, the weird, deranged, like anti-Semitic conspiracy theories that he's been espousing. And you have people like Ben Shapiro, again, who they're so happy to have this big like A-list celebrity coming over to the side of a conservative family values and stuff, that Ben Shapiro is just like, well, you know, it's slightly anti-Semitic, but we have to support. So he's having this like, he's making excuses for Kanye West, like completely deranged anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. When Rashida Tlaib says like Israel is an apartheid state, then Ben Shapiro's like, she's literally Hitler. She's Hitler now for this. But Kanye is like, well, we have to talk about the underlying excuses. We have to make these fucking equivocations and these mental gymnastics. He's anti-Semitic, but he's our anti-Semite. And the same reason they all support Trump and all these evangelical guys who are similarly anti-Semitic, you know? I don't generally feel bad for Kanye in general because he's a mega rich guy whose gross words do real harm. But this Candace Owens Parler thing is so obviously predatory. It makes me uncomfortable. There's been a lot of bad discourse about it as well. And I don't want to get weighed into like the mental illness, how much of this is like mental illness, as we know, is not a get out of jail free card for being a fucking bigot or an anti-Semite or for acting like an asshole. It's not. And it's pointless to get into the discourse about it because obviously he is deeply fucking deranged and mentally ill, but you know, it's pointless to wade into that discourse, I think. You want to sell a bunch of chuds on a Twitter clone and give it a French name. That's right. I'm saying Parler. He's clearly reactionary outside of the mental illness. Yeah, obviously. And it seems like he's gotten there through this just total fucking contrarianism. Brain disease. And seeing him go on that rant about George Floyd and giving the whole like conservative, like Daily Wire conservative conspiracy about George Floyd and like the fucking he died of a fentanyl overdose and not by police violence. It's just sad and fucking gross. It's so fucking disgusting. But yeah, I've been saying parlor, but is it parlay? Is it parlay? Is purchasing parlay? One of those Christian fascists you were mentioning earlier. That's true. I don't know. I don't want to do more Kanye discourse. I see enough of that shit and I just don't. It's depressing. I wanted to talk about the Trump tweet. We talked about it. He's been low-key anti-Semitic and said fucked up stuff for years. I can't forgive him on the grounds that it's a current episode or whatever. He believes this stuff 100%. That seems to be the take. Yeah. That seems to be the take. I agree with that. Any more lighthearted discussion we can have? Finkelstein is our problematic boomer. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Did we talk about all the... Yeah, they turned on Elon for wanting to maybe do diplomacy in Ukraine. I know. We talked about that. The one time Elon is like even remotely close to being correct about something, all the Reddit hordes turned on him. Rob, remember when we watched The Thing on Discord? Yeah, I do. That was one of my favorite. I had such a great time doing that. And I did a great tweet about it. I still love this. It makes me so happy. This is one of my favorite moments since this community formed. Introduced a few people to The Thing. I was just delighted. I was just fucking delighted by this response. It was so great, including a Red Scary, a prominent position there. That was so great. I loved Red Scary's reaction. Fuck me. Fuck off. That was great. That was really great. I watched The Thing way too young. I couldn't have been older than 6. Oh, fuck. You know, that reminds me of something that happened this weekend. I got a little bit of a parenting story for you, which is that, we've been watching some spooky movies at my household with my son, who's 6, close to turning 7, okay? He's very close to turning 7. He's basically 7, okay? He's basically 7, all right? And we've been watching some spooky movies, some more like not too crazy. We watched Ghostbusters 2, watched Beetlejuice. We watched, what was the other one we watched? We've been watching those kind of movies, right? Monster Squad, that kind of stuff. And I had been telling him about like the Night of the Living Dead movies. I'd been kind of telling him about it and Dawn of the Dead and stuff. And talking about some of these things. And he seemed kind of interested in it. And he really likes old stuff. He likes the old Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde stories and stuff. He likes this kind of older stuff. He loves Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Loves it. He's obsessed with it. Obsessed with Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. He found this like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde musical on YouTube. There's like, they did some Broadway musical and he's obsessed with he listens to these songs all the time and he acts them out and puts on his Mr. Hyde costume. And he's kind of into this stuff. So I was like, you know what? I think we should watch Night of the Living Dead, the classic 1968 Night of the Living Dead. And I was telling myself, like, it's basically, it's like, it's pretty harmless by modern standards. I mean, kids are seeing all kinds of weird, violent shit all the time, right? It's black and white. It's not that intense. There's way worse stuff out there. We can watch Night of the Living Dead, no problem. And the ending, though, here's the issue. Yeah, because I was telling myself, yeah, it's relatively harmless. Did kind of forget about that last act, though, when there's some very disturbing stuff that goes on. In that last act, that final 15, 20 minutes or so, there's some fucked up shit that happens. And I was watching it kind of like, ugh. So I maybe got a little overzealous with some of that. I thought most of the film was okay, you know? I thought most of it was okay. He really liked the dynamic with Barbara and Johnny in the beginning when he's like, yeah, they're coming to get you, Barbara, and all this stuff. And then later on, like, Johnny comes back as a zombie and like takes Barbara away. And he was like, well, wait a minute. What's going on with that? Like, where did she die? Did he take her away? And I'm like, no. Like, we don't know. He takes her away. We don't really see what happens, though. You know, maybe she escapes. And he was like, yeah, maybe she escaped. And like, maybe she escaped and then she was able to turn Johnny back into like a human. And I was like, yeah, that's probably what happened, I think. And there's that whole scene. He saved her. Yeah. He came back to save her. He escaped. And there's the whole scene where the little girl like fucking turns into a zombie and then eats her dad and fucking stabs her mom repeatedly with like a garden shovel, like one of those garden things. And I was watching that being like, I kind of forgot about that part. She moved to a farm upstate. I was like, I kind of forgot about this part where the little girl zombie repeatedly stabs his mom with a garden hoe or whatever that is. Kind of forgot about that in my mind when I was like, it's pretty much harmless by today's standards. I was like, no, that's maybe a little bit grim. Maybe I could have gone a couple years before showing him that. Remember the discourse about how zombie movies aren't political? Yeah, amazing. It really is an amazing movie. It really is. A trowel, yes. You just got to push all the way through to Day of the Dead so your son can see that not all zombies are bad. Well, I already even explained to him. I talked to him about Bub in Day of the Dead and how he's like nice and how they play music for him. You've inspired me. I'm going to show the 5-year-old Blair Witch Project tonight before bed. You don't even see any monsters in there. It's fine. Anyway, that was a little bit of a, I think he's okay. He's fine. And the thing is, like Lana is saying, like little kids can't handle this kind of stuff. And I did explain to him, like, like even when you watch a scary movie, it's supposed to be scary. It's supposed to be scary, and they're all actors. And I try to explain like special effects and stuff, and like, they're actors. And at the end, after they finished making the movie, they all went home to their families, and they're totally okay. And Barbara and Johnny were both fine, The part with the trowel was a little bit too much. Just be willing to explain shit and always give him out if he needs one. Yeah, that's what I tried to do. That was my kind of recovery. The part with the little girl in the garden trowel was maybe a little much. I maybe would have reconsidered. If I had remembered that part prior to it. He's ready for the rest of Invincible. He is not going to be able to handle Omni-Man fucking crushing Red Rush's skull and having his brains pop out and his eyeballs pop out and everything. When I was a kid, I watched Alien 3 and couldn't sleep after, completely terrified. Oh, Starlight. I have an Alien 3 story. I've probably told it 2 or 3 times on this stream. But since you mentioned it, Starlight, and obviously I've never told this story to you, I have to talk about it. Because I loved Aliens. So when Alien 3 came out, I was 9. I was 9 or 10, 1992. And I loved Aliens. It was like my favorite movie. I loved it so much. And I was really excited to see Alien 3. because, it's the sequel and it was before the internet. I didn't know what was going to happen in the sequel. I thought it was going to be, what the continuing adventures of Ripley and Hicks and Newt and Bishop, who escaped at the end of Aliens, which was my fucking favorite movie. My grandmother showed me Aliens when I was like 8 because she thought I would enjoy it. And I did enjoy it. I fucking loved it. But I went with my dad and a friend to see Alien 3 in the theater in 1992. And it was rated R, so we bought tickets for the movie Beethoven, the lovable G-rated dog comedy with Charles Grodin. We got tickets to see Beethoven, and we went in to see Alien 3 in the movie theater. And if you'll recall, about 15 minutes into that movie, I loved Hicks, right? I loved Hicks. He was the space marine played by Michael Biehn. And in the first 5 minutes of the movie, Hicks is killed in the crash when the shuttle crashes on the prison planet. He's just killed without even appearing in the movie. Newt, the cute little girl from the Aliens who bonds with Ripley emotionally, they form this mother-daughter relationship, killed horrifically in the first 5 minutes of the movie. And in the first 15 minutes, there's the autopsy scene, if you'll recall. The autopsy scene when they're cutting open Newt's chest to see if there's an alien impregnated there and opening her rib cage like that in the movie. And I'm sitting there in the theater, 9 years old, watching. I'm ready for like the Alien sequel, just bawling my eyes out watching this. Fincher, what are you doing, buddy? It's not even Fincher's fault. It's actually a really interesting story of Alien 3, which went through like a dozen rewrites. William Gibson wrote the original script, and it's 100% different. It's like this crazy action movie would have been this crazy action movie. Ripley's not even in it, starring Michael Biehn. And it went through like a dozen rewrites and turned into what you ended up seeing. Fincher even disavowed it because I think there was so much studio interference. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's kind of still worthwhile. I still kind of enjoy Alien 3 despite this traumatic experience. When I watched this, fucking sobbed in the movie theater as a small child watching the Newt autopsy scene in Alien 3. Aliens has a nice balance between badassery and military getting their asses owned. That's James Cameron's specialty. He loves to kind of fetishize the militarism while also criticizing it. The colonial marines. And it really even realized, like even as an adult, the colonial marines, they're basically like the British East India Company, right? And it's a Vietnam allegory as well. They're so confident. They're going to be this easy walk in the park. And they just get horrifically owned, Horrifically owned. My Mexican uncle took me to see The Thing at 8 because he's rad. I didn't see The Thing until I was an adult. I don't know if I would have liked that or not. And I'm definitely going to show my kid more of that stuff when he's like 8. I think 8 is a good cutoff for that kind of stuff. I think, he's almost 7. It was a little bit too early for the Night of the Living Den, specifically the scene where the small child butchers his mother with a garden, whatever that is. Johnny corrected me. Trommel, is that it? Whatever it is. I don't know. I don't garden. That was maybe a bit much. I should show him Paranorman. He would probably like that one. And now you love those movies, so I guess it worked out. Yeah, absolutely, Lana. Absolutely. I do love them, despite these traumatic experiences. A trowel. Okay. A trowel. Thank you. And yeah, again, like I saw Aliens and when I was probably 8, and I absolutely loved it. I watched it dozens of times. I watched it so much, I even recorded the sound. I recorded the sound of Aliens, and I would listen to it on my Walkman. I would just walk around listening to the movie on my Walkman. I loved it so much. I tried watching it again as an adult. Not a good movie. It's weird how they We are the same. Hell yeah, carrier wave. It's weird how I feel like it shouldn't be that hard to do an It adaptation, but they failed again, even with the resources of the modern version. Failed again. And like you're saying, Tim Curry still bangs. The one thing that the modern It movie doesn't get is that Pennywise, when he appears to kids, he's supposed to look like a fucking friendly clown, right? Like, and Tim Curry really nails this. He's like a fun, friendly clown, the kind of clown that a kid would want to follow into a storm drain. And the fucking clown in the modern movie looks like a creepy fucking murdering monster. It's automatically unbelievable. Tim is both charismatic and very sinister. Yeah, exactly. That's what the new movie does not get at all. And it's kind of cool, the new Pennywise. Like, the performance is not even bad, but it doesn't make sense. The Pennywise should be sometimes should be a fun clown that a kid wants to follow into a storm drain. In the book, Georgie talks about he smells the peanuts. He smells the peanuts and the popcorn, right? And it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to go into the storm drain and get your boat back, But overall, I don't really like that TV adaptation bullshit. Even The Stand is okay, but how do you fuck up The Stand? The modern version of The Stand is so bad. It's one of my favorite books, especially the first 200-300 pages of it are just fucking amazing. And the modern version of it, I had to turn it off after 15 minutes. It's horrible. It's so terrible. And it's like, how have you done this? We couldn't finish The Stand, and Clueless is a super fan of The Stand, the book. Like I was saying, my favorite part of The Stand, I don't think it's a perfect book. I think midway through and it kind of falters. But the first 300-400 pages are just so fucking great. And literally in this new version of the series, they just took all that and we're just like, you know what, we're just going to skip that. Or show it in this disjointed, time jumping way. And it made no fucking sense. It takes all the stakes out of it. I'm talking about the newer one. Yeah. Yeah, Outrun, really worth reading, seriously. And Clueless and I are in agreement about this. The first 200-300 pages of The Stand are some of the best shit ever. You know what people hated about The Stand? All the collapsing civilization stuff. They wanted more walking. Yeah, exactly. Why do you want to set up the first part of the story where you understand who the characters are and their whole experiences and what their motivations are and what they're like? Who needs any of that? Just get that right out of there. That's what the people making The Stand thought. This scene shows why the Tim Curry clown in It works. Let's see this. Immediately scared. Yeah. Whoopi as the wise woman was a huge mistake. Well, the whole mistake is intrinsic to the story. The whole mystical, magical black woman trope that the Stand heavily leans on for the entire second half of the book, especially reading it in 2022 is ugh. That's the thing you should have taken out of the new version, not all the cool stuff about society collapsing. I thought the first new It movie was really good too. The second one fell a bit flat. Yeah, I thought it was all right, definitely. But I think, like I said, I think the fundamental mistake with Pennywise was making him seem like a creepy monster. That's the big mistake, even if the performance was kind of cool. Colorado too. And I've talked about this before as well with The Stand as well. It's like they finally get to Colorado and these fucking nerds, the first thing they do when they have a town meeting in the Denver Free Zone is to read the U.S. Constitution, or they do the Pledge of Allegiance and sing the American national anthem and stuff. I'm just trying to put myself in the shoes of someone who walked all across ruined America to find sorry, I'm sniffling again. They immediately reestablished NATO. Exactly. I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of someone that walks all across ruined America after the collapse of civilization, after the United States government literally is responsible for the collapse of human civilization. And you walk all across, you risk your life walking across America to go to find yourself in the Denver Free Zone, where you have a chance to begin an entirely new society. You can start from scratch. You can start a brand new culture. And the very first thing you do at the town meeting is wave the American flag and read the fucking Constitution or do the Pledge of Allegiance or whatever. And how disappointing that would probably be. Jesus Christ, I'm heading down to Las Vegas to hang out with the weird Satanists. They're kind of creepy, but at least they're not going to be doing this. Have you read King's 11? No, I haven't read the time travel Kennedy assassination one. No. I would like to, though. I would like to read that one. If you don't mind, I'm just going to go for 1 second to blow my nose. I got a stuffy nose. I'm still sick, okay? I got a stuffy nose. Then I'm going to come back and we're going to finish up. Just 1 sec, okay? Okay, I'm back. I'm back. Hello. Chat, do you have a favorite King adaptation? Hard mode, you can't pick The Shining. I'm going to go contrarian on this, Ryan, and go with Stand By Me. How about that? That's a classic. Just to give you an example of how much I do love the novel The Stand, though, even for all its flaws, I just purchased recently. I got 2 new versions of The Stand because my version was all dog-eared and the cover came off and everything. I got 2 new versions. I got the old version, before the stuff that he added in for the extended edition or whatever, and I got another version of the big, super thick extended edition. I just love. I can read the first 300, 400 pages of this. I can just read it every year. It's just so great. I should read The Stand. In all honesty, you can read the first 400 pages and you don't even have to finish it. Somebody going into Rob Stephen King addiction. You should finish it. It's worth reading, but the first 400 pages are just fucking perfection. No Pet Cemetery love. That's pretty good too. Pretty good too. Pretty scary. Okay, so folks, thoughts on the Dark Tower series. I've only ever read the original. I would like to read the rest of the series, but I've only ever read the original. Never read any King. Guess I should read The Stand. You really should. I love Stephen King. For all his flaws, I really do. It is worth reading as well, despite the weird fucking way that ends. And if you've read the book version of it, you know what I'm talking about. We don't need to get into the details of how that one ends. I would say a little bit controversial. We don't need to get into the details of that. Still worth reading. Still worth reading, but problematic is a word that I would use to describe the ending to that. I love post-apocalyptic hellscapes. Well, please read The Stand. Please read The Stand. Matt, highly recommended. We don't need to talk about the ending to It, even though It is good. I loved it as a kid, even though I was too young for some of these books, and it probably contributed to me being a sicko. Same with me. I read The Shining, like the novelization of the book version of The Shining, a couple times when I was younger. I would also recommend The Dead Zone. The Dead Zone, very good. In the post-Trump era, reading The Dead Zone is really, really interesting. When you graduate too soon from Goosebumps to King. Yeah, I was more of a Fear Street person, Crab Island. I was a Fear Street, not a Goosebumps. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. Even like Stephen King, even with all the stuff that I support about the work that he's done in The Dead Zone and all that, still just a total fucking lib in his old age too. It's depressing. I'm worried I'll just be hearing him say Slava Ukraine the whole time. That's right. He writes The Dead Zone and talks about the origins of fascism in The Dead Zone, and then he's just like on a podcast interview being like, Stepan Bandera seemed like a great guy, nationalist. Misery and Needful Things. Actually, I would actually amend my answer to Ryan's question. Even though Stand By Me is very good, Misery probably the best Stephen King adaptation. I'm going to amend my answer. Needful Things as well. I remember the film is pretty good, and the book is good also. Yeah, part of what I like about his works is that he perfectly captures a certain kind of small town Americana that reminds me of where I grew up. And exactly, like I didn't grow up in that region, G Clubby, but I've been there so much. Like I was in Old Orchard Beach this summer. Like I've spent so much time in like Stephen King land in Maine, you know? And I still love that stuff. I know Maine holistically from King. I love the Stephen King land in Maine. Like a big part of The Stand takes place in Ogunquit, which I haven't spent a ton of time in Ogunquit, but right immediately in that region. I've vacationed there since my whole life. OOB, that's right, HTA. I'm a big OOB head. That's me. Big time. Old Orchard Beach. So I got to get going pretty soon, folks. Yeah, we're over 3 hours here. It's 3:30. I'm going to have to get going soon. I would just like to remind you, before I have to go, I'm not going to go right away, but if you do enjoy this program and you enjoy the content, if it's your first time here, if you're a community regular, please support this channel by subscribing. As I've said a couple times, I'm not going to be a hard ass about people subscribing. People in this community are extremely generous. So I'm not going to be mean about it. I'm not going to yell at people over it.
Have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Subscribe to get access to the community concubines.
Thank you, Leftward Ho, for the 11 months of Tier 1. I really appreciate that. Leftward Ho, thank you. But please subscribe. It costs $5 a month. You can subscribe via Prime if you got a Amazon Prime account. You can subscribe completely free of charge. All of these things really help.
Count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Thank you, Dimitri. Thank you for the 2 gifted subs, Dimitri. I appreciate that. Wait, the community what? What did I say? I already forgot what I said, Lana. I already forgot what I said. boy I had a crush on grew up on the street from the Pet Cemetery movie, and somehow that made the eerie gaze and quiet sadness make more sense and way hotter. That sounds like it did. I like how specific that memory is for you still, Lady Cenobite.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all
I like
this.
that. Thank you, Sir Phobos. Thank you for the 4 months of Prime. Very much appreciated. Very on-brand comment from Lady Cenobite. Yeah, very true. Sucks that I had to work through a whole stream, but you made my work day. I'm happy to do that, Johnny. I love to know that there's people like that are avoiding doing their jobs by listening to this stream. It makes me happy. I really enjoy that. So steal back your worth. Thank you. Do we have it? Crimson Tinted? Absolutely. Thank you, Crimson. We love it. I appreciate you, Crimson. #1 time theft stream on the platform. Absolutely. I'm working to accept when I can't help writing in chat. Absolutely. We really should do a community movie night. We should at least do one horror movie canon this month. It's been really hard for me to find time to do that stuff in the evening. I kind of thought that I was going to have more time, and I haven't really. I will find one time to do at least one spooktacular movie night in the Discord server. This is my promise to you. I said I was going to do gaming as well. I keep saying I'm going to do stuff and then not doing it. I downloaded Soma so I could play Soma for some spooktacular gaming, and I have not done it. I have not done one moment. Not one moment of gaming. Not one moment of movie night streaming. But I will pick a movie in the Rob canon to watch for Halloween. Maybe Alien could be a good option. Alien, that's another. I talked about Aliens, but Alien really an essential movie in the Rob canon. So maybe we could do that. What do we think about that? So ambitious, I know. You should have played Mario Kart with us last night. Yeah, I was watching The Dragon Show, Lana. I was watching The Dragon Show. Oh, absolutely, Alien still holds up. Masterpiece. You know what's scary? These gosh dang midterms. Talking about evil... Starlight, you know what I'm talking about. Talking about evil clowns. We're talking about evil clowns. What about those goddamn evil clowns in Congress?
We simply use the computer to mark up the size of the account.
Gaming and cookies loudly crying.
Huh? Wait, sorry, just one moment. You know, we're talking about evil clowns. Talking about evil clowns. I gotta turn down the volume here. We're talking so much about evil clowns today. What about those evil clowns in Congress? Was that worth another sub? We can get to 25. Can that get me to 25? Come on. Come on now. Surely it can. I'm so mad. I'm sorry, Crimson. I'm sorry.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Look at that. Irate Lump, thank you for the 22 months of Tier 1.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
The things I do to entertain you on here. Sir Demon
you can
Gone
on
Good.
Me. You're going to have good old
Thank
Rob
you for the gifted
to,
sub as well.
Through all this.
And thank you very much to Comrade Social Distancing for a gifted sub. And all the support from Comrade Social Distancing, the #1 sub gifter on this stream. Thank you so much. I danced for supper. Come on now. I love when Rob does his deadpan straight guy bad comedian routine. It is the Norm Macdonald. Lady Cenobite, it is the Norm Macdonald. Did I tune into the Rob Rousseau show or Real Time with Bill Maher? Exactly. No one knows. No one knows for sure. And now we got a hype train, so obviously, after doing that whole thing about trying to get us to 25, now I wouldn't encourage people to continue subbing, even though there is a hype train and you can get emotes and that kind of stuff. Like, who cares, right? Who cares? We don't know. Rob's too busy watching his dragon show. He isn't paying attention to how much his jokes are dragging my patience. Oh my. Oh my goodness. I know we had Netanyahu on. Fucking Bill Maher. Yeah, you had Netanyahu on. The liberal comedian that everyone loves. Bill Maher. And allowed him to frame Israel as being some like progressive bastion of democratic values. You'll never believe what this epic atheist thinks of Israel. That's right. You'll never believe. He also sat down with Dave Rubin recently as well. Wasn't Netanyahu born in like Philly? Yeah, well, like a lot of Zionist Israelis who love to lecture a Palestinian about their fucking homeland or whatever. I'm just returning to my homeland. People that have lived there for fucking generations. Sir, you were born in like Maryland. You were born in Brooklyn. It's not your fucking homeland. Shut the fuck up. This is the most progressive apartheid in world history, and you can never be satisfied. Your favorite dish is crab cakes. Oh my. Oh my goodness. I think I better clip that clowns in Congress thing. I think that's tweet worthy. I gotta go, so I hope you can raid. Great show today. Thank you, Marty. Thank you, Marty. I appreciate you. Thank you. Crab cakes are very good. No disrespect. No disrespect whatsoever. Yeah, all Israeli food is just Lebanese food, which I do love. 1 minute left in this hype train, folks. We got any other takers? Any other takers want to support this stream, get access to exclusive emotes? Hey, listen, if you subscribe to this stream, if you're a lurker, and I know I started off the stream talking to the lurkers, not only if you subscribe to this stream do you get the wonderful emotes on this stream, some of the best emotes on this entire platform, but if you contribute to this hype train, you also get
You've just
exclusive
become an elite member of the Friendship Triangle.
Gosh. You get exclusive hype train emotes as well. Oh my goodness.
You've just become an elite member of the Friendship Triangle.
Oh my goodness gracious. Kingfisher. Thank you so much, Kingfisher, for the 5 gifted subs. Your 5 first gifted subs in the community immediately rocket right up there to the very top of the Friendship Triangle system. Immediately becomes an elite member of the Friendship Triangle. Absolutely incredible stuff. Thank you, Kingfisher. And thank you, Gen X Bushy, also for the 5 gifted subs and the incredible amount of support. Gen X Bushy, thank you so much. This is how I win. That's right, Kingfisher. This is how you win. And you have won at life. Because now not only are we friends, we're personal friends now. But you're also friends with everyone else that's involved in this community. And isn't that what we all lack right now? Isn't that what we all need? We're all isolated from one another. We're atomized. We need community. We need friendship. And you can have access to that kind of a community. You can have access to all kinds of different personal friends, including me. And if that's not worth the measly price of $5 per month, well, I just don't know what to tell you. I just don't know what to tell you, folks. Thank you, Lana. Thank you, Lana. I appreciate that. And I appreciate each and every one of you that came in to watch the stream. And I appreciate the people that contributed more. You know, let's be real about that. Let's not have any illusions about that. But I do appreciate everyone, even the lurkers, even the non-subscribers, even you. I even appreciate you. Again, not as much as the people that contribute to the stream. And then there's a whole hierarchy. There's a whole hierarchy of the different levels of appreciation. Okay? But I appreciate all of you to varying degrees. Slub to the Parasocial Friendship Fund. Thank you. It's a triangle-shaped one as well. Couldn't stress enough that it's two-dimensional. It's two-dimensionally shaped. Even the haters and losers. Even them. Even part-time lurkers who chime in with random comments like me. Of course, Cut Man. And look, you got a sub badge. 15-month sub badge. Of course I appreciate you, Cut Man. Do not look behind the triangle. Do not look behind the triangle. Who's streaming right now? Who do we got here? We got Dan. Dan's gotten a couple of raids. He's continuing to cover NAFO Gate. I think we talked enough about NAFO. I appreciate Dan, but maybe he's gotten a couple of raids. We got Doc Hollywood, of course. Perhaps the Doc Hollywood raid is in order again. NAFO barely knew her. Hold on. NAFO, I barely knew her. Big laughs in the crowd. You all heard the laughs. You all heard the laughs. We are going to raid our friend Marina. Marina's playing Subnautica right now. That should be fun. Thank you again to everybody. I enjoyed hanging out with all of you today. I will be back tomorrow as usual. TRRS is recorded in front of a live audience. Well, that's all. I'll talk to you tomorrow. We'll set up a movie night, okay? We'll set up a movie night, I promise. I can do this. I'm leaning towards Alien as well, considering it's such an essential film in the Rob canon. We'll find a time to do that, okay? So thank you again, folks. Thanks for stopping by again, Crabild, Dimitri, Ryan. Appreciated hearing from you as well, Ryan. Don't forget to submit your student loan debt cancellation application if that applies to you.